Hello guys, this is your friend Naruto Audio Fanfics and we are back with a new fanfic. Which is what if Naruto became the dimensional fox god, and Raven, Starfire, Jinx, Terra and Blackfire ruled beside him part 1. And if you enjoy this fanfic then please press the like button and subscribe to my channel for more fanfic like this. And now let's start the fanfic. October 10th was just a normal day in the Hidden Leaf village, well as normal as a ninja village could be. On this day only known to a select few, Kushina Uzumaki Namikaze, wife of the 4th Hokage, Minato Namikaze, the Yellow Flash, was in the middle of giving birth today and was currently laying on her back in a secret cave a few miles from the village. The reason she's so far away is because she is the Jinchuriki on the demon nine-tailed fox. When a female Jinchuriki goes into labor, the seal weakens and the tailed beast will try to escape. Come on Kushina, on more push and you're done, Minato said with his hands placed over the seal trying to keep it intact. Shut the hell up. How about you try giving birth? Kushina yelled. Kushina, he's right, just one more push. One more push and you'll have all of your babies. A doctor known as Bawako Sarutobi said. I can't do it. I can't do it. Kushina said. You can do it Kushina. Come on, just one more push. A blonde lady with a huge chest said. This was Tsunade Senju, granddaughter of the first Hokage and one of the legendary Sannin. Come on Kushina. Just one more push. The seal is slipping away. Minato said. Where the hell is Jiraiya? Tsunade asked. The toads called him for an emergency. Minato said. Ah. Kushina yelled as she pushed her final baby out. Congratulations, Kushina, it's a girl. Bawako said. That makes 2 boys and 1 girl. Tsunade said. What are their names? Bawako asked. I'll name the girl Narumi. The blonde boy can be named Menma. Kushina said. Kushina then looked at the firstborn child. His hair was half blonde and the other half was red. The first 2 had blue eyes like their father, while the oldest had his mother's violet eyes. His skin wasn't as pale as his brother and sister. Kushina had a hard time finding a name for him. She was cut off when a scream was heard in the room and Bawako was dead on the ground while a masked man was holding the son she has yet to name. They all looked at the masked man and he spoke up. 4th Hokage, Minato Namikaze. Step away from the Jinchuriki, or else this child will die in its very first minutes of life. The man said. Who is he? Minato thought and Kushina yelled since Minato hasn't fixed the seal and the Kyuubi is starting to escape. Get away from the Jinchuriki. The man said and pulled out a kunai placing it at the baby's neck. Wait. Please. Just stay calm. Minato begged. I'm completely calm. The man said. He ducked out of the way from a punch by Tsunade and then kicked her away. He tossed the baby in the air and Minato reacted quickly, grabbed the baby and noticed the paper bombs on the blanket the baby was wrapped in. He tossed the blanket aside and rushed out of the cave as it exploded. Tsunade appeared by his side holding Narumi and Menma with a sad look on her face. He took her before I could grab her. Tsunade said. I know. He's after the Kyuubi. Damn it. The toads knew we needed Jiraiya here today with her giving birth to help hold the seal. Minato said. Let's get the kids to safety and then find Kushina. Tsunade said. Minato teleported them to another safe house he owned and placed all 3 babies in a crib. Tsunade noticed Menma and Narumi would inch away from their brother, but he didn't seem bothered by it. While Narumi and Menma were crying, he was silent and sleeping. She looked up and noticed Minato had changed into his shinobi clothes and threw on his Hokage robe. I'll bring Kushina back here. She might be able to survive having the 9 tails ripped out of her, but it's going to be close. I want you to heal her as best as you can and keep an eye on her vitals. Minato said. He teleported away and was back instantly with Kushina who was breathing heavily. He placed her on the bed and Tsunade quickly got to work on bringing her back to a stable condition. Minato was about to leave when Kushina spoke up to him. Minato. He's going to attack the village. Kushina said through labored breaths. I know. I'm going to stop him and the 9 tails. Our babies are safe. I'll be back. Minato said and disappeared. Tsunade continued to check on Kushina for a while and eventually she was able to stabilize her and hit her to the point where she only needed some rest. Tsunade was surprised that Kushina would actually survive since having a tailed beast removed from you is almost a sure thing to kill you. Kushina wanted nothing more than to sleep, but Narumi and Menma kept crying and she had to feed them. Their brother would whimper every once in a while as he was hungry as well, but every time Tsunade brought Naruto close to Kushina, Narumi and Menma would always start crying even louder. I don't think they like their brother. Tsunade said with a small laugh. I'm sure it's nothing. Can you take them so I can feed him? Kushina asked. Sure. I can do that. Tsunade said, and they swapped babies, making Menma and Narumi cry once again. He's got both of your hair colors. I've never seen anything like it before. Tsunade said. I know. Narumi will have my straight red hair. Menma will have his father's wild and spiky blonde hair. Maybe he'll have a combination of both once he grows older. Kushina said. Have you figured out a name for him yet? Tsunade said. No, I haven't. I hope Minato thought of one because I'm drawing a blank right now. Kushina said as Naruto was finished eating. I'm sure you'll figure something out. I want to know why the toads called Jiraiya away though. None of this would be happening if he were here. The seal would have been fixed with those two here quickly. He better have a good explanation for this or I'm sending him into the hospital again. Tsunade said, and then Minato appeared in the room. Minato. What happened? Kushina asked. I managed to fight the guy off. He escaped before I could finish him off. He uses some kind of space-time ninjutsu that's almost as fast as me using the Hiraishin. Minato said. That's impossible. You're the fastest shinobi alive. How can someone possibly match your speed? Tsunade asked. He called himself Madara Uchiha. Anyway, we have another problem. The Nine Tails is still going on a rampage and I have Gamabunta holding him off with Lord Third. I need to reseal it. Minato said. Let's go then. I can take it back inside of me. Kushina said. No, it can't be you. Your chakra coils are already depleted and you haven't fully recovered from the Nine Tails being extracted from you. Minato said. Then where are you going to seal it? Kushina asked, and Minato looked at her kids. No, absolutely not. Kushina yelled. Kushina, they're the only ones I can think of. I can't use anybody else's kid. What kind of Hokage would I be if I could sacrifice somebody else's child and not my own? Please, I need to do this. I'll split its chakra from the body and divide each between the three of them. Minato said. You sure you can't use me? Kushina asked. Yes, I'm positive. The Nine Tails would just force its way out because you're still weak from the extraction. If I were to reseal it into you, then you would die and it would escape. I have to do this. Minato said. Fine, then I'm coming with you. I can use my chakra chains to hold it down. Kushina said. I don't know. You think she can handle it? Minato asked Tsunade. She should be able to. She's a full-blooded Uzumaki, so her using the chakra chains barely takes up any chakra. I'll come along just in case. Tsunade said. Thank you. Minato said, and they gathered the kids and left to do the sealing. Battlefield. Minato, Kushina and Tsunade arrived in the clearing where the Nine Tails were being held. They noticed the third Hokage was standing on top of Gamabunta using his staff to hold the Nine Tails down. Kushina used her chains to hold down the Nine Tails and Gamabunta went back to MT. Myoboku while the third Hokage landed in front of them. Kushina, you're still alive, Hiruzen said shocked. It's going to take a lot more than a stuffed cat to take me down. Kushina said, and they all chuckled at her. Minato, what's the plan? Hiruzen asked. I'm going to split the Nine Tails' mind and body from its chakra. I know you want to argue, but it must be done. Now, I need everyone to stand back. The jutsu I have to use requires a soul sacrifice. Minato said. Minato Namikaze. You are not killing yourself just to seal away some stupid fox. Kushina said, and then the Nine Tails roared. Shut up, you damn fox. Kushina yelled, and everyone's sweat dropped at her. I'll do it then. Hiruzen said. What? Tsunade asked. I said I'll do it. I'll do the jutsu to sacrifice my soul. Minato, you have a new family to look after and take care of. Consider this my final act as Hokage. Hiruzen said. I'm sorry, Lord Third, but I can't let you do that. Minato said. Minato, I've already lost Bawako. Asuma doesn't need me anymore. He hardly even speaks to me. Just let me do this, please. Hiruzen said. Just let him do it, Minato. Let him go out on his own terms. Tsunade said. Fine. You can do it. Minato said with a sigh. Thank you. Now, Who will we be dividing the chakra into and who gets the mind? Hiruzen asked. Place the chakra inside of Narumi and Menma. Narumi has a high chance of accessing the Uzumaki chakra chains and Menma, I can tell, will have a high amount of chakra on his own, they'll be able to handle the chakra. Give the mind and soul to the oldest one. Minato said. You still haven't figured out a name for him? Hiruzen asked. No, but we're really thinking and we're also kind of in the middle of something. Kushina said. Right. Minato. Protect the village at all costs. Do not let anything happen to it. I'm once again putting my complete faith and trust into you. Hiruzen said. Everyone stepped back and Minato summoned the altar for the 3 children to be placed on. Once the children were on the altar, Minato went next to his wife and Tsunade. Hiruzen activated the Reaper Death Seal and sealed the chakra into Narumi, and Menma and Tsunade came to take them from the altar. He was about to seal the body inside of the oldest baby, but the Nine Tails lashed out and tried to stab him with its nail. Hiruzen jumped in front of the nail and was stabbed through his back and used his staff to stop the nail from going any further. The baby looked up at Hiruzen and smiled a bit, making Hiruzen smile a bit himself. You'll be a great ninja someday. You carry the will of fire inside of you and are destined for great things. I hope to hear your story when your journey is done, Naruto. Seal. Hiruzen said. Those were the final words of Hiruzen Sarutobi, the professor of shinobi and the 3rd Hokage. The Nine Tails let out a final roar of defeat as it was sealed away inside of Naruto. The 3rd Hokage fell to the ground after the Shinigami ripped out his souls and he had a smile on his face. His staff transformed into a monkey that had a sad look on his face as he looked at his fallen summoner. He picked up Naruto and took his family. King Enma. Minato greeted. I have your son here. Hiruzen has high hopes for him. I wish you all well. Enma said as he handed Naruto to Minato. Thank you, Enma. Minato said. We still need a name for him, Minato. Kushina said. He already has one. Hiruzen called him Naruto just before he died. I would stick with that one to honor him. Enma said. Of course he would choose Naruto. That's the name of the character from Jiraiya's first book. He loved that book almost as much as he loved reading his smut. Jiraiya writes. Tsunade said, and Enma left in a cloud of smoke. Naruto it is then. Do you like that? Your name's Naruto. Yes it is. Kushina said in Naruto's face, and all she got back was a snore making everyone sweat drop. Come on. We have to grab his body and prepare the funeral for everyone who died, and I have to let the village know what's going on. Minato said, and he gave Naruto to Tsunade and picked up Hiruzen's body. Funeral. After the body viewing was over, Minato stood on top of the Hokage Tower with Kushina, Jiraiya and Tsunade. He was ready to give his speech to the people of Konoha. People of Konoha. Tonight was the worst night in the history of the Leaf Village. As you all know, the Nine Tails attacked. We managed to stop it, but it cost us loved ones and friends. Hiruzen Sarutobi was amongst those men who bravely fought and died. He sacrificed his life to seal away the Nine Tails into my children. Minato said. Won't the Nine Tails escape? A villager asked, and everyone started to freak out. No. The seal is safe and secure. I've checked it along with my wife Kushina and Master Jiraiya, who are all seal masters. We separated the chakra from its body among my children. Menma and Narumi poses the fox's chakra while Naruto contains the body and mind of the Nine Tails. Tomorrow I want all available ninja and civilians who are able to start helping with the construction to rebuild the village. Tonight, I'll give you all time to mourn your losses. Thank you. Minato said and walked away from the podium going into the building. I need to talk to you about something, Minato. Jiraiya said. Sure, what is it? Minato asked. Where the hell have you been? Is a better question. Tsunade said. The toads called me away to talk about a prophecy. Jiraiya said. What did they say? Minato asked. The one with power it wasn't born with, shall be the savior of the world. Jiraiya said. What are you saying? Minato asked. I think once Menma and Narumi are old enough, we should start focusing on their training. Jiraiya said. What about Naruto? Kushina asked. He'll have to learn from the academy when they start. Narumi and Menma are the children of prophecy. They both have power they weren't born with due to them possessing the Nine Tails chakra. Jiraiya said. You want us to neglect one of our children? Kushina asked. It's for the best, Kushina. Besides, Naruto will learn at the academy. I'm not the world's best sensor, but Naruto's chakra levels aren't as nearly large as Narumi and Menma's, and that's not even counting the Nine Tails chakra. They'll need the extra training anyway. Jiraiya said. I'll think about it. Minato said. Make the right decision. Jiraiya said and left. You seriously aren't thinking about this, are you, Minato? Tsunade asked, holding Naruto. I don't know. We have years before they're ready to start training, so I'm not worried about it. Minato said. Here, let me take Naruto and get the kids home. Kushina said. She reached for Naruto and then Narumi and Menma would start fussing. She pulled her hands back and they stopped, but once she reached again they would start fussing again. She grabbed Naruto and laid him next to Menma, who started wailing and was hitting Naruto, who just looked unbothered. After Menma was done hitting Naruto, Naruto swung his own hand and hit Menma, making him cry really loud. I guess they'll have a small sibling rivalry. Minato said with a laugh. I guess they will. Kushina said, and they left the Hokage Tower to go home. That's a lot more than just a sibling rivalry brewing. If anything, Menma and Narumi will be spoiled brats if their behavior isn't stopped immediately. Shizune said and left. Shizune was Tsunade's assistant that everyone forgot was there helping with Kushina giving birth. What they didn't know was that a certain one-eyed elder was going around spreading rumors that the fox would take over Naruto, and that didn't sit well with the villagers. They decided that they would have to take out the fox itself before it could re-emerge and destroy the village. It's been 5 years since the Nine Tails attack, and today was October 10th, which was Naruto, Menma and Narumi's birthday. For Naruto, he didn't really care for his birthday since he's never really gotten anything. He didn't make friends because parents would tell their kids to stay away from them, and the people that wanted to be his friends only did that so they could get close to Menma and Narumi. Over the years he's become close with 2 people who are a few years older than him. Those people are Itachi Uchiha and Shisui Uchiha. Naruto stumbled on them training once and commented on how cool their red eyes were and how he wished he had some. Right now, Naruto was walking home since he did have a party to get to, even though he didn't want to be there. The main reason was because all of the clan heirs would be there and all they would do is swoon over Menma and Narumi. Over the years growing up, he knew his brother and sister didn't like him and had a feeling it's been that way since birth. Whenever they would break something or do something bad, they would blame him and he would get in trouble. All of a sudden he ducked his head down and a glass bottle went flying over his head. That's another thing about him, he's always had good danger senses since he was born. He turned around and saw an angry mob running after him. He did the only thing he could and ran. He ran as fast as his little legs could take him, and when he was almost home, he was pulled into an alley and didn't even see who did it. If he was able to see who did it, he would have noticed the blank-masked Anbu leaving the scene. Nowhere to run now, you little demon. A drunk man said. Demon? Who? Naruto asked, confused. You're a demon in human skin. A different man said. But, I am a human. I have fingers, toes and talk just like you. Naruto said. You're nothing but a fox in disguise. Today's the day you die, you stupid fox. A villager said. They didn't give him the chance to respond because they all just charged in and started beating him when he was cornered. Naruto took a blow to the head and then everything went black. The beating continued and eventually the villagers got bored after 20 minutes because he wasn't screaming in pain like they wanted. They walked away and left him there on the ground unconscious and bleeding with torn clothes. A little girl with violet eyes came running over after she saw him on the ground and tried to wake him up. Hey, are you okay? She asked, and she didn't get a response, so she ran to get some help. Mindscape. Naruto woke up in some kind of sewer and walked around. He noticed he was healed up and wondered who came and got him. As he was walking, he came across a large cage and looked inside and then jumped back when a large claw came flying at him. Hello. Who's in there? He asked, and a large fox came walking from the darkness and it did not look good. Who are you? Naruto asked. I am the nine-tailed fox and the reason the villagers beat you today. I was sealed inside of you the day you were born. Unfortunately, I was separated from my chakra and I won't live much longer inside of you. I'll disappear and return to my chakra inside of your brother and sister. Since they both have my chakra, I'll be split in two. The Nine Tails said. I've read about you. You don't seem all mean and nasty, like a rampaging like they say around the village. Naruto said, and the Nine Tails just looked at him. No, I am not a rampaging, as you put it. I was made this way after continuously being used and sealed away for years. Now, I don't have much time left. I'll do you a favor. With my limited chakra I've gathered over the years, I can give you 2 gifts. I've been looking into your DNA over the years and discovered you have that damn Uchiha blood inside of you, most likely from your father, although I doubt he even knows. Now, I've noticed you spend time with 2 Uchiha already, so what I'll do is unlock your Uchiha DNA so you can have the Sharingan like them. The Nine Tails said, and used some of the chakra he had to unlock Naruto's Uchiha DNA. I don't feel anything. Naruto said. You aren't going to. I've unlocked the DNA now, you'll just have to train to unlock your eyes. Now, about the Sharingan, I tweaked yours a bit. You'll learn about the 3 stages to mature it from the 2 Uchiha boys who'll most likely train you. What they won't tell you about is the Mangekyo Sharingan. The Mangekyo grants you different powers, but the more you use the Mangekyo you'll become blind. The Nine Tails said. I'm going to become blind. Naruto exclaimed. Yes, there's no way around that. But like I said, I've tweaked yours a bit. Since nobody in your family has the Sharingan, you can switch eyes with whoever you want to if they already have the Mangekyo Sharingan unlocked. Once you do that, you'll gain the eternal Mangekyo Sharingan and you'll no longer have to worry about being blind. If I were you, I'd trade eyes with someone who you've become close with. Since I tweaked yours a bit, the closer the bond you share with the person you trade eyes with, the stronger your Mangekyo abilities will be. Also, once you obtain the eternal Mangekyo Sharingan, it would make everything easier for you when using your techniques. Now, the Mangekyo grants you a few abilities such as the Susanoo, the Kamui, Amaterasu, Tsukuyomi, Kotoamatsukami, as well as the Izanami and Izanagi. The Nine Tails said. Cool. Naruto exclaimed. Now, I'm running out of time, so the last thing I'll give you is a healing power. You'll be able to heal from any wound that isn't fatal. As we speak, your wounds are healing themselves. You have 3 people around you trying to wake you up. This is the last time we speak, so I hope to hear good things about you through your brother and sister. Good luck, Naruto. The Nine Tails said as it began to disappear. Wait, what's your name? Naruto yelled, shocking the Nine Tails that he wanted to know his name. It's Kurama. I have 8 more siblings out there. I'm sure you'll meet them. I'll have to send word out for them to look out for you. Kurama said and vanished for good. Real world. Hey, wake up. The same girl said, shaking him. You saw his wounds heal, right, Itachi? A boy asked, known as Shisui. Yeah, you think it was the fox? Itachi asked. It's possible. Shisui replied. What fox? I don't see a fox around here. The girl asked. They mean the fox that was sealed in me the day I was born. Edik, Shisui, nice time to show up after I got kicked. Naruto said as he stood up. We didn't know. We were being held up after coming back from a mission. We only found out because of your little girlfriend here saying you needed help. Shisui said with a smirk. She's not my girlfriend. I don't even know her. She's not even from this village. Naruto said. How do you know that? Itachi asked. Because no kid in this village would lift a finger to help me, that's how I know. Naruto. Nice to meet you. Naruto said, holding out his hand. Oh, I'm Raven. Nice to meet you too. She said. Nice name. Pretty eyes. Naruto said. Thank you. Raven said with a blush. Ah, look, Itachi. Little Naruto is making his girlfriend blush. Shisui said. She's not my girlfriend. But, at least I can get a girlfriend. I've seen you try to ask girls out on a date and all you do is stutter. Naruto said. I do not. Shisui said. Sure you don't. Naruto said and pulled out a book and walked away. Wait, where are you going? Raven asked. Home. It's my birthday along with my 2 siblings. Apparently Jiraiya and Tsunade of the legendary Sannin are going to be there today for something special. You wanna come? Naruto asked, and before the girl could say anything another voice spoke up. That would be a wonderful idea. May I come as well? A woman asked. Sure. Naruto said. Thank you. I've been looking for somebody by the name of Jiraiya. He has a severe beating coming to him. By the way, my name is Arella. Arella said. Let me guess, the perv was caught peeping on you in the hot springs and you've come all this way to look for him. Naruto said. Something like that. Arella said. Okay, Well, the party starts in a few hours, so I'll see you there. Naruto said. Bye, Naruto. Raven said with a blush, and Arella noticed it and smirked. Hey, Naruto. Are you by any chance looking for a wife? Arella asked. No, I'm only 5. Besides, aren't you a little bit too old for me? Naruto asked. I wasn't talking about me. I was talking about Raven. Arella said. Oh, still, I'm not looking for a wife or anything right now. Maybe in the future, but who knows? Naruto said with a shrug. Well, then I guess you'll just have to meet Raven somehow in the future. Arella said. Maybe, but I don't even know what village you're from. Naruto said. Oh, we're not from a village. We're not even from this dimension. Arella said. What? Naruto asked. Never mind. It would take too long to explain. We'll see you at the party. Arella said as she started to walk away with Raven. Why would you want to train under me and Itachi? Shisui asked. Because, with enough training, our eyes will be the same. Naruto said, and Itachi quickly picked up on what he meant. I see. Then I'll look forward to training you, Naruto. Itachi said and vanished with Shisui. Naruto. Wait. Raven said, running up to him. Huh. Naruto said, and then Raven kissed him on the cheek, making them both blush. Happy birthday. She said and ran over to Arella. Thank you. Naruto said and ran off. Namikaze compound. Look what Loserville dragged in Narumi. Menma said. Yeah, it's our loser of a brother. He couldn't even put on decent clothes before he went out. Narumi said. I can't believe we're related to him. Menma said. Menma went to tackle Naruto to beat him up like he always does, but Naruto moved out of the way and did the same for Narumi, making them both crash into the wall and knock over a vase. Kushina heard this and ran through the house to see what happened. What happened? Kushina asked. Naruto did it. Menma said, fake crying. He pushed us into the wall and we just wanted a hug. Narumi said, fake crying as well. Naruto. Go to your room. Do not come out for the party. I will not let you ruin your brother and sister's special day. Kushina said. It's not like I was. Wait. Their special day. We were born on the same day. Or did you forget when you had a fox shoved in my gut after I was born? Naruto said with a sneer and walked away, leaving a stunned Kushina and confused Menma and Narumi. Kids, go get ready for your party later. Your father will be home soon and the guests will come later after that. Kushina said, and the kids went to their rooms. Hey Kushina, Minato said as he appeared in the house. Minato, Naruto knows about the 9 tails. Kushina said. What? How? We didn't tell them yet. Minato said. I don't know. He said I must have forgotten his birthday when we had the fox shoved in his gut. Who told him? Kushina asked. Let's find out. Naruto, come to the living room. Minato yelled and Naruto came walking to the living room. Yes. Naruto asked. How did you find out about the fox? Minato asked. You can blame your lovely villagers for that. Naruto said. What do you mean? Kushina asked. What I mean is that they told me about the fox when they were beating me before I got home. Naruto said. The villagers would never do something like that. Kushina said. Yeah, the villagers are nice people who treat us kindly. Minato said. No, they treat you and the 2 spoiled brats upstairs kindly. Naruto said and then got slapped by Kushina. You do not talk about your brother and sister like that. Now go to your room. No party tonight for you. Kushina said. That's a bit too far, Kushina. He can come to the party, but we'll just give his gifts to Menma and Narumi. Minato said, and Naruto just walked away. Party. The party was going on, and just like Naruto knew, the clan heirs and all kids that were there, all avoided him and played with Menma and Narumi. He sat off to the corner and just read a book he found. He was brought out of his musings when someone tapped him on the shoulder. He looked up and saw Raven staring at him holding a gift in her hand. Hey Raven. Naruto said. Hi Naruto. I brought you a present. She said, holding out her hands, and he took it and opened it, revealing a violet kunai. Wow. I didn't even know they made kunai this color. Naruto said and gave her a hug. They don't. It's special, made from my powers. It has my name on it so you won't forget me. Raven said. That's so nice. Thank you Raven. He said and pulled her in for a hug. Why are you sitting by yourself? Arella asked. The kids don't like me, but I don't care. They're all spoiled anyway. Naruto said and Raven nodded. They're weird to me. One girl kept asking about makeup and flowers. Do I look like somebody that likes that stuff? Raven asked, and Naruto just shook his head. All right, everyone gather around. I have an announcement to make. Minato said, and everyone gathered around except Naruto and Raven. Don't you wanna go see what it is? Raven asked. No, I'm perfectly fine right here. Besides, I have a feeling about what the announcement is. Naruto said. What do you think it's about? Raven asked. They're going to take something that belongs to the oldest clan heir and give it to them. Naruto said. Wait, so you mean? Raven asked. Yes, that is exactly what I mean. Naruto said. But aren't you supposed to be the next in line? From what I've read and heard, that title always goes to the firstborn. Arella said. Well, apparently they don't seem to care. Neither do I. I don't even know if I'll stay in this village for long. It sucks and everyone hates me. I'd rather go somewhere else and be happy rather than stay here and be hated for something out of my control. Naruto said. Okay, everyone. As you know, next year all of our children will begin the academy. It is with great pride that I announce, Menma is now named the clan heir of the Namikaze clan, and Narumi is now named the heir of the Uzumaki clan. They will begin their training tomorrow, as should all clan heirs if they haven't begun already. Minato said, and everyone but the Uchihas, mainly the head family of the Uchiha clan, clapped. That's not all. Me and Jiraiya have been talking and we've decided to let Menma and Narumi sign either the slug contract or the toad contract. Tsunade said. Really? Narumi and Menma yelled. Yes, really. Now which one do you want to sign? Jiraiya asked as they both summoned their scrolls. I want the toads. Menma exclaimed. I want the slugs. Narumi said, and they each went up and were instructed on how to sign the contracts. I thought Naruto was supposed to become the clan heir. Shisui said to Itachi. He was, but apparently Lord Fourth and Lady Kushina had other plans. Itachi said. You think he's upset about it? Shisui asked. Look for yourself. Itachi said, looking at Naruto talking with Raven. I think he already knew this was coming. Shisui said. Me too. I do need to talk to him though about what he said in the alley. Itachi said. That can wait, Itachi. Let's just enjoy the party. Shisui said. Jiraiya, may I have a word with you? Arella asked as she walked up to Jiraiya. Do I know you? Jiraiya asked. No, but I was in that hot spring you were peeping on and I don't like perverts. Arella said. Please, no, have mercy. We're at a kid's birthday party. You wouldn't want to cause a scene, would you? Jiraiya asked. I suppose you're right. I'm only here because of my daughter Raven. Arella said, pointed at Raven laughing with Naruto. That's your daughter. Seems like Menma has a thing for her. Jiraiya said as Menma went up to Raven to flirt with her and then got slapped by Raven. Yeah, looks like she's not interested in him at all. Next time you peep on me, I'll kill you before you even notice. Trust me, I can make that happen. Arella said and walked away to get Raven since they had to leave. Minato. Kushina. Jiraiya said. Yes, Jiraiya. Minato said. Have you both decided on their training? Jiraiya asked. Yes. We thought about it and we've decided to train Menma and Narumi as you've heard. Kushina said. What about Naruto? Jiraiya asked. He's going to have to wait until the academy. Minato said. Good. Now another thing. I know this sounds weird, but we need to keep them happy. So whatever they want we should give it to them, but only if it's reasonable. Jiraiya said. That's doable. Minato said. Dad, I found the girl I want to marry. Menma said. Oh, and who might this girl be? Kushina asked. She's over there. Naruto won't let me talk to her and then he slapped me. Menma said, pointing to his face. I'll deal with him. Kushina said and walked over to Naruto. Naruto, why aren't you letting Menma play with your friend? Kushina said. I don't have any friends. Wait, are we friends? Naruto asked Raven. Yes, we are. I don't want to play with Menma. He talks dirty to me and I don't like it. Raven said. Oh, hush, little girl. Naruto, apologize for slapping your brother. Kushina said. But I didn't slap anybody. Naruto said. Yeah, I slapped him. Raven said. She's lying, mom. I saw him do it. Narumi said. Yeah, we saw it too. A blonde girl with blue eyes said, and the other kids agreed. Yeah, loser, apologize for slapping for your brother. A boy named Kiba said. He grabbed Naruto by his neck and shoved him to the ground. Bad idea. Naruto, already being pissed off, just snapped and tackled Kiba and started to punch him in the face repeatedly, and Kushina tried to get him off, but his grip on Kiba's neck was too strong. She used her chains to grab his arm that kept hitting Kiba, and Naruto resorted to headbutting him instead. Naruto eventually stopped when Raven grabbed his other arm and just looked at him. Everyone around saw this happen and the kids backed off. As far as everyone knew, Naruto was quiet and didn't really speak to anybody. Some of the people forgot he even existed. Soon whispering started to happen, and it was all about the fox must be taking over. Kushina heard this and dragged Naruto up to his room and slapped him hard. What the hell is your problem? Stay in this room. You're grounded until the academy starts next year. Kushina yelled and slapped him again. I don't care. It's not like I actually belong in this family anyway, Naruto said and pushed a stunned Kushina out of the room before he slammed and locked the door. Naruto, open this door. Kushina yelled, banging on the door. Naruto didn't answer. He just sat in his room on the bed. Compared to everyone else's room, his room looked miserable. He barely had anything in his room except a bed, a dresser, and an old desk off to the corner. He thought about moving up in the attic, but he would need help moving his stuff. He was cut off by a knock on the door. He opened the door and saw Makoto Uchiha standing at his door with Itachi. Yes? Naruto asked. We just wanted to come check on you, Naruto. Makoto said. That, and I have a question. Itachi said. What's up? Naruto asked. You said you'd rather train under me and Shisui because with enough training our eyes would be the same. Do you have the Sharingan? Itachi asked. That's ridiculous, Itachi. Only an Uchiha can possess the Sharingan. If you haven't noticed, Naruto's parents aren't Uchiha. Makoto said. Actually, I think my dad has a past family member that was once an Uchiha. Naruto said. Why would you say that? Makoto asked. Well, I met the Nine Tails when I was beat up by the villagers. He was fading away because he needed to get back his chakra, so now there's two Nine Tails in Menma and Narumi. It gave me some gifts before it left and told me I had some Uchiha DNA, so it unlocked it and claimed it must be from my father's side of the family since my mom is a full-blooded Uzumaki. He gave me the Sharingan and recommended I train under you and Shisui, because he thinks I can reach my full potential underneath the both of you. He also gave me a healing ability, which you saw when my wounds were healing in the alley. Naruto said. Do you have it now? Makoto asked. I don't know. Naruto said. Channel some chakra into your eyes. Itachi said. I don't think he's unlocked his chakra yet. Have you? Makoto asked. A little bit. I think I did it while I was running away from the mob. Naruto said. That reminds me, how did you get caught? The mob must have been drunk, so there's no way they could have caught you while running, especially if chakra was being added to your running. Itachi said. I don't know. I was running and then the next thing I know, something pulled me into the alley. Naruto said. Must have been an Anbu operative. Makoto said. Couldn't have been. Didn't Lord Fourth place all Anbu on security detail around the entire village for today in case of an attack? Itachi said. I didn't say it was regular Anbu. Makoto said. You think he had something to do with it? Itachi asked. Yes, but that's not why we're here. Makoto said. Right, Naruto, channel some chakra into your eyes. Itachi said. Naruto nodded and did as told. He began to channel chakra into his eyes at a slow rate because even he knew if he used too much it would cause problems. Itachi and Makoto both turned on their Sharingan as a demonstration. Soon after a minute, Naruto's eyes changed red and both of his eyes already had two tomo in each eye. He was amazed at what he was seeing and couldn't help but smile. Well, that settles it. You do have the Sharingan. Makoto said. Yeah, but activating the Sharingan at such a young age is unheard of. He beat me by 3 years and already has two tomo in each eye. Itachi said. Is that a good thing? Naruto asked. Yes and no. Itachi said. It's a good thing that you've unlocked it, but it's bad that you've unlocked it early. I mean, you need to go through a lot of emotional pain to unlock just the first tomo, and yet you have two tomo in both of your eyes. Are you really getting treated that badly here? Makoto asked. It's not just that. I can't remember the last time I was actually happy in this house, let alone this entire village. I guess me basically being stripped of my title of heir was the final nail in the coffin. Naruto said with a shrug. Okay, back to why we're here. I noticed you didn't have any gifts down there, so I went and got you this. Makoto said, giving him a book. A book? Naruto asked. It's a book on sealing. I think it would be better given to you than your brother and sister. Have you gotten any other gifts? Makoto asked. Yeah, I got this nice kunai from my friend Raven. Naruto said, pulling out the violet kunai with her name on it. Ooh, somebody's got a girlfriend. Makoto teased. She's not my girlfriend. Maybe in the future once I'm developed and can wow her. Naruto said with a shrug. What do you know about wowing a female? Makoto asked. Well, in the books I've read, a man would take a girl out on a nice date and then take her either home or back to his house. Then they kiss and take their clothes off and start to. He was cut off. Okay, that's enough. Makoto exclaimed. Sorry. Can you both help me with something? Naruto asked. Sure, what is it? Itachi asked. Can you move my stuff up into the attic? I've been cleaning it out and I want to make that my room. Naruto said. Sure, we can do that. Is this everything you have? Makoto asked, looking around. Pretty much. I don't really get new clothes all the time like Menma and Narumi, so I have to go to the clothes stores at night and take clothes from the dumpster that they can't sell anymore. I get some and the rest goes to the orphanage. They just don't know it's me doing it. Naruto said. Alright, let's get you moved up to the attic. Makoto said. It took them 20 minutes to move all of his stuff up to the attic and set everything up. Naruto talked to Fugaku a bit as he came upstairs to get his wife. He accidentally showed him the Sharingan and then had to explain everything to him. Surprisingly, Fugaku was fine with Itachi and Shisui training him in private. He said to consider it a birthday gift from him. Naruto snuck back down during the party and talked to Raven a bit more before she had to leave and go back to his dimension. Next day, Naruto woke up and went downstairs after hearing a bunch of commotion. He made it to the living room and saw Menma and Narumi jumping around while Tsunade, Jiraiya, Minato, Kushina and Minato's last living student, Kakashi Hatake all in the living room. Okay, I guess we're all set then for their schedule. Minato said. I'll handle their chakra control. Tsunade said. I'll do their taijutsu and summoning. Jiraiya said. I'll handle their ninjutsu whenever Minato-sensei is stuck in the office. Kakashi said. I guess I'll just help with Tsunade in their chakra control and taijutsu. I can do some sealing lessons as well. I need to be at all lessons because my chains can help suppress the Nine-Tails chakra. Kushina said. Can we start today? Narumi asked. Yeah, let's start right now. Menma said. I guess we can start today. Kushina said, and Minato noticed Naruto standing there with a blank face. Oh, hey Naruto. Sorry, but you'll have to wait until the academy starts before you start training. Minato said. Okay. Naruto said with a shrug, and Menma and Narumi both grabbed him. Yeah, loser, we start early training so now you won't stand against us. Not like you did before anyway. Menma said. And we're the clan heirs. So you better start obeying our orders. Narumi said. You both remember Kiba, right? Naruto asked. Yeah. The both said. Good. I suggest you get your hands off of me before I give you both the same treatment I gave him yesterday during the party. Naruto said with a glare, making them back away. Naruto. That's not nice. Kakashi said. You should really apologize. They are the children of prophecy. Jiraiya said, ruffling their heads. Shut up, you old perv. I'm going out. Not like any of you care though. Naruto said and left house. Uchiha compound. Naruto, after leaving his house, walked over to the Uchiha compound. It was odd for him, but everyone there didn't seem to mind his presence and were actually nice to him. He made it to Fugaku's house and was currently speaking to him. Have you seen Itachi or Shisui? Naruto asked. They're both in the forest training right now. Fugaku said. Thanks. Naruto said and walked away. Forest. How long do you think we have until Naruto shows up for training? Shisui asked. Ask him yourself. Itachi said, pointing at Naruto walking up to them. Didn't think you'd want to start training so early. Shisui said. Well, I need some kind of training. Everyone else has already started training, so why can't I? Menma and Narumi are getting trained by two of the legendary Sannin, the copy ninja, and our parents. Naruto said. That's a lot of training for some 5 years olds. Shisui said. I hope you know that training with us won't be easy. Itachi said, activating his Sharingan. Yeah, it's gonna be pretty intense and you'll wish you were dead. Shisui said, also activating his Sharingan. I wouldn't have it any other way. Naruto said. Good. First things first. You will address us as sensei when we are training. You will not slack off anytime during training. Do you understand? Itachi asked. Yes, Itachi sensei. Naruto said. Good. First thing we need to do is fully unlock your chakra. Right now you can only use a small dosage of it. I want you to sit down and meditate. Concentrate on your chakra and pull it to the surface. Shisui said. Naruto nodded and sat down in a meditative position. He focused on his chakra, and since he knew how it felt already, he didn't have any trouble finding it. He grasped it and pulled it to the surface. Itachi and Shisui were a bit surprised that he had as much chakra as he did for his age. He has as much chakra as a mid-chunin and he's only 5. Shisui said. That's his Uzumaki genes. They are known for having large chakra reserves. Itachi said. Alright Naruto, that's enough. Shisui said, and Naruto stopped. How was? Naruto stopped and glanced to his right, and Itachi caught it, sending a small unnoticeable signal to Shisui, who disappeared in a quick shunshin. He returned a few seconds later with 2 blank Anbu masks. Why do you have Anbu masks? Naruto asked. These aren't regular Anbu masks. Shisui said. Then what are they? Naruto asked. These belong to a secret organization of Anbu called Root. The leader of this group is called Danzo Shimura. He's a dangerous man known as the Shinobi of Darkness. He's missing an arm and an eye, has a scar on his chin, and walks with a cane. He's on the council and he covers his tracks well. Stay away from him. It's clear that he has his eyes set on recruiting you into his little organization. Shisui said. So stay away from a one-eyed, crippled old man. Got it. Now can we start training? Naruto asked. Alright. First up, chakra control. I want you to grab some leaves and try to make them stick to your body using chakra. If you can do that, I want you to pick up a small pebble and try with that. Once you're done, we'll move on to some taijutsu sparring before choosing a style for you. You'll of course learn the Uchiha fighting style, but you'll need your own. Shisui said. No offense, but I'd rather not learn the Uchiha fighting style. I have a few that I already want to learn. Naruto said. What styles would those be? Itachi asked. I don't know how to pronounce them, but I have the scrolls for them. Naruto said and pulled some scrolls out of a bag he had, and Shisui read them. Aikido, Taekwondo, Bojutsu, and Kung Fu. These are some pretty good styles to learn. Shisui said. I hope you know we won't be able to train you every day. We still have our ninja duties as well. Itachi said. I know. I'll just train by myself since I do have that sealing book your mother gave me. I'll just split time between taijutsu and fuinjutsu. Naruto said. What about ninjutsu and genjutsu? Shisui asked. Well, I thought I would do that with you too. We have the Sharingan, so that's where a lot of my genjutsu would come from. Of course I'll still learn genjutsu that doesn't require the Sharingan, but it would be best if I did that with you. Ninjutsu is self-explanatory. I don't wanna overload a jutsu and then kill myself. Naruto said. That's not a bad plan actually. Now, first thing first, channel some chakra into the piece of paper. Shisui said. Why? Naruto asked. It's chakra paper. It'll tell us your chakra nature for jutsu. If it burns, it's fire. If it crumbles, it's earth. Gets wet, it's water. Crinkles means lightning, and if it shreds, it's wind. Itachi said. Naruto did as told, and the paper split into 4 pieces. One was shredded. One was burnt. One crinkled into a tiny ball, and the last one got wet before it dissolved into nothing. They sat there in silence, not believing Naruto had 4 chakra natures. I think it's broken. Naruto said. It's not broken. Itachi said. Yeah, it's just rare for somebody to be born with 4 chakra natures. It's usually 1 or 2, some people have 3. But 4 is unheard of. I have fire, lightning, and wind, but I had to train in getting a wind affinity. Shisui said. I have fire, water, and wind. So that means you won't have to train with somebody else when it comes to chakra natures, since we can teach you the ways to control it. Itachi said. Now, we'll break things down. I'll train you in taijutsu and genjutsu. Itachi will also train you in genjutsu, but he'll mainly handle your ninjutsu. Shisui said. When do we start? Naruto asked. Now, Shisui said and gave Naruto some leaves to do his chakra control. 1 year later. A year later, Naruto was still training with Shisui and Itachi. They had been gone a lot lately because they joined the Anbu, so he had to do a lot of training by himself. His relationship with his family hasn't improved at all and he didn't really care. Menma and Narumi became even more bratty and arrogant. The other clan kids were the same towards him, so he stayed away from them. He was only close with one person other than Shisui and Itachi, that was Tsunade's apprentice, Shizune. Shizune would sometimes help him with his chakra controls since his reserves grew up to a high genin or low chunin. She was amazed that he had such good controls since his chakra was extremely dense like all Uzumaki and his reserves constantly grew. She helped him with his basic jutsus for the academy, but he kept his skills and their training secret. During the past year, he became better at using his Sharingan and was getting used to using it and the abilities that came with it. He still needed to work on his body because although he could see things in slow motion, his body just couldn't react fast enough. Shisui and Itachi both believed that if they were able to work with him consistently more, that he would have matured it by now. He also discovered he could use the Uzumaki chakra chains one day during a spar with Shisui. He was doing good with sealing as he was already won the second level of sealing. He was now at the academy and did not hear a single word that his father said in his speech. Naruto, were you paying attention? Shizune asked. No. He replied bluntly. You're in the class with all clan heirs and a few civilians. Room 103 on the first floor. Can you at least try to make some friends? Shizune asked. I'd rather not. We both know everyone in this village doesn't like me. I have no problem with being alone with no friends. Naruto said. I swear you're starting to act like Itachi and Shisui. She whispered. What's so bad about that? He asked. Nothing. Just get to class. Shizune said with a sigh. Alright. Before we start class for the day, we're gonna have a spar with all of the students to see where they are currently. Minato said. He just wants the two brats to show off their training. Naruto mumbled. Be nice. Shizune said. Yeah. Naruto said and Shizune smacked him on the head. I'm serious. How are you going to fight? I thought you wanted your training secret. Shizune said. I'll just go in brawling. Make it look like random punches and kicks but I'll be on guard. Naruto said. Good luck. I'll see you after school. I need to get back to the hospital. Shizune said and left. Academy training area. The fights weren't impressive in Naruto's eyes. It looked like a bunch of idiots going out to fight and randomly swinging. The worst fight was between two girls named Ino and Sakura. It was basically a cat fight and the instructor quickly called the fight to an end. Next up was a fight between Shikamaru and his chubby friend Choji. It ended quickly since Shikamaru was too lazy to fight and Choji refused to fight his friend. Kiba, Narumi and Menma all fought civilians and of course they won. Minato, Kushina, Jiraiya, Tsunade and Kakashi who were watching were all proud of Narumi and Menma. Alright, next up we have Sasuke Uchiha vs Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze. The instructor said. This was going to be interesting. Naruto met Sasuke a few times and to sum it up, Sasuke was a major. He constantly tried to berate Naruto telling him he was nothing compared to an Uchiha, but was always angry when Naruto just looked at him with an unreadable expression. They walked to the ring and the girls started chanting for Sasuke to win. They stood there staring at each other and you could feel the hatred coming off of Sasuke. I feel bad for Naruto. Kakashi said. Why? Tsunade asked. He hasn't started training yet and he's up against Fugaku's youngest son and he's already been training for a year. Kakashi said. Then it will be over quickly and Naruto won't get hurt. Kushina said. Alright. This is just a spar. Now, form the unison sign. Minato said. No. Naruto and Sasuke said at the same time. You have to. It's the proper way to begin a spar. Minato said. This isn't a spar. I'm going to kick his. Naruto said. Please, you can't stand up to an Uchiha. Only an Uchiha can defeat an Uchiha. Sasuke said. Then I guess that's why Madara lost to Hashirama Senju. Naruto said. How do you know that? Minato asked. We have this thing called a library. Now are we going to fight or not? Naruto asked. Hajime. Minato said. As soon as those words were said, Naruto and Sasuke charged in at each other and their fists collided. Sasuke, believing he was the better fighter, decided to go for a quick finish and sent his fastest and strongest punch at Naruto, who ducked out of the way. Once Naruto ducked, he punched Sasuke in the stomach, making him grunt, and he quickly followed up with a kick to Sasuke's chin that sent him rolling on the ground. Sasuke stood back up and rushed in at Naruto with pure anger and hatred. He started swinging wildly and everything missed. Naruto, still not using a fighting style he knows, just went with Sasuke's momentum and would hit him every time he missed. Sasuke got angry and jumped back, going through hand signs. No. This is taijutsu only, the instructor said, but Sasuke didn't listen. Fire style. Fireball jutsu. Sasuke blew a medium-sized fireball at Naruto, who jumped out of the way. The match was about to be called when the teacher stopped as Naruto went through the same hand signs as Sasuke. Fire style. Fireball jutsu. Naruto blew out a fireball 4 times bigger than Sasuke's, and everyone was amazed at how he could already have that jutsu mastered. Up in the trees, Shisui and Itachi were both watching and smirked when Naruto used the jutsu. Sasuke was frozen in place, and if it wasn't for Minato getting him out of there, he would have been burned alive. Alright. Fight's over. Nobody wins due to both fighters using ninjutsu. The instructor said. That's a load of crap. I won as soon as he used ninjutsu. Naruto said. Where did you learn that jutsu? Sasuke asked. It's one of the most basic fire jutsus around. Anybody can learn it. Naruto said. Alright. That's enough. Everyone go inside for class. Naruto, you stay back for a minute. Minato said, and Naruto just sighed as everyone went inside. Yes. Naruto asked. Who taught you that jutsu? Minato asked. It's literally one of the easiest jutsus to do. I've seen almost every ninja in this village use it. Naruto said. Don't get smart. Kushina said. Whatever. Can I go now? Naruto asked. You've really grown into a whiny little brat. Jiraiya said. You've grown into a horny old man who can't get laid. I bet the last time you even had was when you were with Tsunade the day you created him. Naruto said, pointing at Minato. How did you know that? Kushina asked. What? The fact that he can't get laid despite bragging about it? Or the fact that they're his parents? Naruto asked with heavy sarcasm. Take that sarcasm out of your voice. Kakashi said. What the hell are you gonna do? Go read and cry over your friend's grave, failure. Naruto said. Naruto. Kushina said. What? Naruto asked. How did you know we're his parents? Tsunade asked. It's not hard to figure out. I've heard him call you mom quite a few times. I'm sure everyone in the village knows this by now. Naruto said. Still, who's training you? Minato asked. It's not none of you. I'm not telling you. Naruto said. I order you to tell me who's teaching you. Minato said. Sorry, but that only works on ninjas. I'm still a civilian. Naruto said. I'm your father now, tell me who's training you. Minato said. My father. This is the first time you all have spoken to me since I was 3. It's always been Menma this Narumi that. Until I got in trouble at that party last year, none of you have said a word to me. You two are the worst parents in this village. Naruto said and walked away, leaving them stunned. Forest. Think we should talk to him about his attitude towards them? Shisui asked. We're not his babysitters or counselor. Itachi said. I guess you're right. Come on, we still need to continue our mission. Think they'll actually go through with it? Shisui said. If things don't get any better, then I have no reason to believe that they wouldn't. Itachi said. We need to stop it. I think Danzo's going to leak this information to an outside enemy. Shisui said. Danzo may be a cruel man, but he will not endanger the well-being of the leaf. Especially with Minato as the Hokage. Itachi said. Think Naruto will be mad about us not training him as much now. I know he's close to maturing his Sharingan. Shisui said. He's not. He already knows something is brewing between the Uchiha clan and the Leaf Village. He pays attention more than people think. I'm sure he'll ask us about it when we talk again. As for his Sharingan, I think another spar will do the trick. Itachi said. Again, he's only a Genin level ninja. Shisui said. He may be a Genin in terms of skill, but he has the durability of a Jonin. Itachi said. Am I training him today or you? Shisui asked. Both. I need to pick up Sasuke from school, but I'll be there for the training. We should start him on some other ninjutsu, and when his Sharingan matures, start his genjutsu training. This next year will be difficult and he needs to be ready just in case. Itachi said, and they vanished. Hours later, Naruto was in the forest sitting down in a meditative position waiting for Shisui and Itachi to show up for training. He wanted to unlock his third tomo today, so he was going to have them really push him. He was brought out of his thoughts when he caught a kunai that was thrown at him for his left. He looked to the left and saw Shisui standing there with his Sharingan activated. He turned on his own Sharingan and threw the kunai back at him, but added a hidden shuriken as well. Shisui jumped back and went into the trees, and Naruto followed him. He kept his guard up because he knew Itachi was also here. He ducked down from a kick aimed at his head and turned around, throwing a punch that Shisui blocked with his forearm. They both kept blank faces and then started trading punches and kicks. Shisui was moving at the speed of a mid-chunin level ninja while Naruto was barely moving at mid-genin speeds. Naruto caught Shisui in a wrist lock and threw him over his shoulder, but was disappointed when Shisui turned into a log. The fight was getting easier for Naruto, and then everything changed when Itachi showed up without warning. He was getting used to Shisui moving at the speed he was using, but Itachi came in at his full speed, Sharingan blazing, and Naruto couldn't keep up. They fought for 30 minutes before Shisui decided to move at Jonin speeds, and after another 10 minutes of non-stop sparring, Naruto finally unlocked 3 tomo in each of his eyes, giving him a complete Sharingan. They fought some more and then eventually Naruto passed out, and that ended the fight. Well, that was fun, Shisui said. He unlocked his third tomo. He's officially the youngest to mature his Sharingan. Itachi said. Hopefully he'll never have to experience enough pain for the next level. Shisui said. In our current shinobi world, there's no doubt that he will go through that pain. He already knows the consequences of the next stage, so he should be fine. Itachi said. I'll take him home. Shisui said. No, he needs as much training as he can possibly get. We need to work on his ninjutsu and genjutsu skills. Itachi said. Think he can handle it? Shisui asked. He's kept up with us for over an hour. Granted, it's only because of his Sharingan, but he can handle it just fine. I got some scrolls for certain jutsus to teach him. Itachi said and tossed him a scroll filled with jutsus for all of Naruto's elements. Some D, C and B rank jutsus. Not bad, but why shadow clones? Shisui asked. His chakra is too dense and it's growing at a fast rate. His chakra levels are already close to that of a mid-jonin. By the time he graduates, he'll have almost cage level reserves. He won't be able to properly do a regular clone. Itachi said. What's up with the ambush? Naruto asked as he woke up. It was just training. Itachi said. It has something to do with the war brewing between the Uchiha clan and the village, doesn't it? Naruto asked. You know? Shisui asked. Of course I know. It's not exactly hard to see the hatred the village has towards your clan. Don't worry, I won't tell anybody. Naruto said. Good, now we're going to start you on ninjutsu and your Sharingan genjutsu since you have a fully matured Sharingan. We have a scroll full of jutsus for your chakra natures. We're going to show you the steps on how to master 2 of your chakra natures today and won't move on to the next 2 until you've completely mastered these 2. Shisui said. Which 2 will that be? Naruto asked. Fire and lightning. We both have a fire nature and Shisui is the next best lightning user outside of Kakashi. Itachi said. Sweet. Can we get started? Naruto asked. Yeah, we start now. Itachi said. Few hours later, Naruto finished training with Itachi and Shisui and was currently walking up the pathway to his home. He managed to complete the training for his fire element and had one last step before he completed his lighting element. He learned a few jutsus for both fire and lightning, but not much. He silently went over the list of jutsus in his mind and went over the hand signs for the jutsus he knew. Fire style. Fireball jutsu. Fire style. Dragon flame jutsu. Fire style. Phoenix flower jutsu. Lightning style. Lightning ball jutsu. Lightning style. Beast tracking fang. He entered his house and went up to his room. He didn't want to be bothered right now by anyone, and unfortunately that wasn't going to happen. He went downstairs after washing up to get some food and he was met by stares from his brother and sister. Look who it is, Narumi, It's the loser of the family. Menma said. Yeah, you don't deserve to be in our family at all. Why don't you just run away and never come back? Narumi said. Yeah, you have no friends and nobody likes you. Just leave so this village can be happier without you. Menma said. Maybe we can use our power in the clan to banish him. Narumi said. Yeah, that's a good idea. I mean, mom and dad already don't pay attention to him. I'm sure we can get away with it. Menma said. You hear that? We're making this family how it should be. Just me, Menma, mom and dad. Narumi said with a smirk. I don't care. Naruto said blankly. Narumi and Menma took offense to that and tried to attack him. Naruto simply ducked out of the way and bashed their heads together, making them cry out in pain. He grabbed some food and went back up to the attic and locked it. He sat on his bed and started to read his book on ceiling. He honestly didn't care if he was somehow banished from the clan. The only clan he would be banned from would be the Namikaze clan. An Uzumaki that has unlocked the chakra chains can never be banished from the clan unless they commit a serious crime against clan laws. It's also stated that the rightful heir to the clan seat would be the child of the current leader who can wield the Uzumaki chakra chains. So unless one of his siblings are able to use the chakra chains, he is the current heir, and in the off chance that one of them are able to use the chakra chains, they must fight for the position of clan heir. Right now he didn't care about any of that. He was focused on getting better at his skills and having a better grip on his ceiling. He was very serious about becoming a ninja and knew all about what it takes, unlike the two spoiled brats downstairs. A year has passed since Naruto entered the academy, and since he didn't care for attention, he settled for being average in the class. It was quickly forgotten that he was the strongest student in the academy, but he didn't care. He never made an attempt to find friends since everyone hung out with Menma and Narumi. Speaking of Menma and Narumi, they both quickly made it known they were the popular kids in school and had lots of fangirls and fanboys. Narumi became the leader of her group of friends, consisting of Ino Yamanaka, heiress to the Yamanaka clan. Sakura Haruno, a pink-haired girl from one of the wealthiest civilian families in the Leaf Village. Last but not least, Hinata Hyuga, heiress of the Hyuga clan. He noticed the peeks and glances Hinata gave him and even noticed her following him around the village on multiple occasions. He was able to avoid her all the time, and even her Byakugan couldn't find him. Menma had his own little group of friends that he hung out with and was apparently the leader. Kiba Inuzuka, the self-proclaimed alpha male of the Inuzuka clan. Shikamaru Nara, the heir to the Nara clan and laziest person in the class. Last but not least, Choji Akamichi, heir to the Akamichi clan and Shikamaru's best friend. Wherever Shikamaru went, Choji went. Naruto was in a group all by himself and isolated from everybody else, even the teachers, who he learned were not the biggest fan of him. He only had problems with one person, Sasuke Uchiha. After the first day of school, when Naruto beat Sasuke in a spar, Sasuke has been trying to fight him every single day and Naruto would just walk away from him. Naruto knew he was too strong for them right now, and the only people that could even push him for now were Menma and Narumi, and that's only because of them being able to use a small dosage of the Nine Tails chakra. His training for the past year went good. He didn't bother to learn more ninjutsu as he wanted to master the ones he already knew. He wanted every jutsu to be down to one hand sign, and right now he got all of them down to 3. His taijutsu was about low chunin and would have been higher if he wasn't constantly interrupted due to Itachi and Shisui having to go away for an Anbu mission, which he knew was them spying on the Uchiha clan. His Sharingan Genjutsu was strong, and both Itachi and Shisui pointed out that he'd be better than them as he was already better than them at his age with his Sharingan. They started to make him wear leg weights while he trained, and without the weights he was mid-chunin level in speed. His ceiling was going good as he was already onto the 5th level of ceiling. He figured, being an Uzumaki, that the ceiling would come easy to him. The relationship with his family hasn't gotten any better. In fact, if you asked him, he'd say that it's gotten worse. Menma and Narumi became even more bratty and spoiled, if that was even possible, and he didn't bother to interact with them. They always managed to bother him, and the same reaction kept happening. They would mess with him and he would simply bash their heads together and walk away, leaving them crying. Of course, everyone came to their side and coddled them like they were newborn babies. He and Shizune were still close, and she even tried to teach him some medical ninjutsu, but due to the density of his chakra he couldn't learn much, so all she really taught him was the mystic palm jutsu and showed him how to properly bandage a wound and set a broken bone before putting on the cast or wrapping it up. He was grateful for that because he never knew when it would be needed, and it's best to have that on hand. Right now he was currently finishing up his own trainings since Shisui and Itachi were called away for a mission today. He worked on his taijutsu and sealing all day and was sore. He was thankful for the healing ability the Nine Tails had given him before going back to its chakra. He felt Shisui nearby and he was with Anbu level ninja and one more chakra that didn't feel regular. He felt Shisui's chakra spike and rushed over to help as best as he could. When he made it to the area, he noticed an old man with a cane known as Danzo go for his eyes. He knew all about Shisui's Mangekyu and the ultimate genjutsu he had, so it was pretty obvious what Danzo wanted from him. Naruto did the only thing he could think of. He overloaded a wind jutsu that he knew and gave a little assistance to Shisui. Wind style. Great breakthrough. The jutsu had so much chakra in it, that it destroyed the ground as well, and it blew Danzo away as his fingers were centimeters away from grabbing Shisui's eye. Naruto quickly hid and gave Shisui some time to take out some of the Anbu surrounding him. Take him out. I want that eye. Find whoever did this and kill whoever it is. Danzo said before quickly fleeing the area. Shisui knew it was Naruto who saved him, but knew this would be his last night. He activated his Sharingan and then started to fight all of the Anbu while being extra cautious of them reaching for his eyes. Naruto would help out where he could by throwing random kunai and shuriken to distract the Anbu. The fight lasted for almost 30 minutes, and before Naruto could help he was out of kunai and shuriken. He looked up and Shisui was being surrounded by the remaining 10 Anbu. Before Naruto could leave his hiding spot, Shisui activated his Mangekyu Sharingan and then he was surrounded by a large green ethereal warrior. Naruto was amazed by this and then witnessed Shisui take out the remaining Anbu. The warrior he was surrounded by started shooting off some kind of needles and the rest of the Anbu were taken out. Shisui deactivated his Mangekyu Sharingan and his Susanoo went away. Naruto was about to jump out of his hiding spot and go towards Shisui, but Shisui vanished in a shunshin. Naruto decided to go home and talk to Shisui the next day. Naruto woke up the next day and when he looked out his window, he saw a crow staring right at him. The stare down lasted for about 10 seconds before the crow flew away. Naruto went to the academy and he noticed all of the ninjas seemed to be on edge in the entire village, so he kept his guard up. After the academy was over he went to where he usually trained and stayed there until he couldn't move anymore. He worked on his ninjutsu and fuinjutsu until he perfected all of them. As he was training he noticed a vortex start to appear in a tree to his left. He quickly made a shadow clone, substituted with it and transformed into a leaf. When the vortex was gone a man stood there in a black cloak with an orange mask. Can I help you? The clone asked, still not looking at the man. Yes, you can come with me. I have plans for the 9 tails in your gut. The man said, appearing in front of him. Sorry, but I don't contain the 9 tails. You'd have to go get the 4th Hokage's children for that. Of course you'd have to fight him, again. Yeah, I know all about how he kicked your when you attacked the village 7 years ago with the 9 tails. The clone said, I can easily handle the 4th Hokage. The man said and activated his Sharingan in his right eye. So you are an Uchiha. Let me guess you used a genjutsu to control the 9 tails after you ripped it out of my mother. Now, who are you? The clone asked. I am Madara Uchiha. The man said. No you're not. Madara wouldn't get beaten so easily by the 4th Hokage. From what I've read about him, he wouldn't walk around with a mask on hiding who he is. Besides, your chakra levels are too low to be someone like Madara Uchiha. Plus you're like 20-something. Madara would be an old man by now if he even was still alive. I'm smarter than I look. Now unless you want to fight an entire squad of Anbu and Kakashi Hatake, I suggest you leave. The clone said. The man in the mask stabbed him with a kunai, but was shocked that the clone went up in smoke. That's when he realized Naruto must have felt him coming and quickly made a clone and left the area. He gritted his teeth and left. He was royally pissed off since he was just outsmarted by a 7-year-old. Kakashi and the squad of Anbu showed up and after 30 minutes of searching, Naruto transformed back to his normal self and continued training. When he was finally done he went back home and avoided everyone in the house. Late in the night, he felt someone in his room and jumped out of the bed with his Sharingan activated and was looking around. He didn't find anybody, and when he went back to bed he found a scroll on his bed with the feather of a crow on it. He opened it up and it was from Itachi detailing how he had just killed off the entire Uchiha clan. Naruto couldn't believe it. Itachi single-handedly wiped out the Uchiha clan except for his brother. He told Naruto how Shisui was dead and he committed suicide after sustaining life-threatening injuries from his fight with Danzo's Anbu. Shisui left his eyes for Naruto and gave him a list of ninjutsu to learn ranked from C to S. He also left behind some of his personal Sharingan genjutsu and instructions on how to use the dance of the teleporter jutsu. After reading the letter, Naruto sealed everything back into the scroll and then sealed the scroll in a storage seal he placed on his hand earlier in the day that was barely noticeable. He laid down to get some sleep and this would be the first time he's cried since he was baby. His tears weren't the usual tears, he was shedding tears of blood. 6 years later. It's been 6 years since the Uchiha massacre and 6 years since Naruto lost the two people he considered big brothers. Naruto, who is now 13, was finally about to graduate from the Shinobi Academy. In terms of strength, Naruto was as strong as a low or mid-Anbu level shinobi due to him constantly training over the years and fighting Danzo's Anbu that he kept sending after him. Danzo wanted the Nine Tails power under his control, and since Menma and Narumi were constantly being watched by Minato, Kushina or Kakashi, it was a no-go on getting them. So he figured he'd go after Naruto, but every time he sent a pair of Anbu after him, they never returned. Naruto's relationship with his family got so bad that Minato forgot he even existed. Kushina over the years tried to get close to him and she even helped him with sealing a few times. Naruto cared for his mother but he still didn't like everyone else. Menma and Narumi were the golden heroes of the village, so they thought they were better than everybody. They were strong for their age, but they would need 2 or 3 tails of Nine Tails chakra in order to match Naruto's strength. They constantly messed with him, but he would ignore them and keep going on with whatever he was doing. Right now, he was waiting for his turn to get his headband and officially become a ninja. The door opened, revealing the instructor that they have had since they started the academy 6 years ago. He was a Chunin named Iruka Yumino. He wore his hair in a ponytail, wore the standard Chunin uniform and had a scar over his nose. At first he didn't like Naruto, but then had a change of heart last year and even tried to befriend Naruto, but in Naruto's eye, it was too late to try and become friends with him. Naruto, you're up, Iruka said. Naruto followed him to the exam room and came face to face with Minato, Jiraiya and the other Chunin instructor, Mizuki. The looks on Minato and Jiraiya's faces was priceless. They looked like they had seen a ghost when Naruto walked into the room. Minato had a look of regret on his face when Naruto looked at him, and Jiraiya quickly got over his shock and tried to stare at Naruto with a blank yet cold look to try and intimidate him. Naruto, however, trained with Itachi, so he managed to keep a stoic look on his face and was completely unbothered. If this little staring contest is over, can we get this over with? Naruto asked calmly. Yeah, you have to perform the basic 3 academy jutsus and then 2 other jutsus you've learned on your own. I can pass you on the 2 extra jutsus if you'd like. Minato said. I don't need special treatment to pass. Naruto said. Then perform the jutsus. Your brother and sister are next, kid. We don't have all day. Jiraiya said. Shut up, lonely old man. Naruto said. He went on to do the substitution jutsu, shadow clone jutsu and transformation jutsu. For his final 2 jutsus, he decided to do a couple of B-rank fire jutsus. Fire style. Dragon Flame Bomb. He breathed fire from his mouth and manipulated the flames into the shape of a dragon and divided them to strike the target from the left, right, and front all at once. He stopped the jutsu before it could cause any damage and then went to his next jutsu. Fire style. Majestic Destroyer Flame. He expelled flames from his mouth and shaped it into a literal sea of flames and covered a wide range as well. He cancelled that jutsu and just looked at them. Where did you learn those? Minato asked. None of your business. Give me my headband. Naruto said. Answer your father. Jiraiya said. Shut up. You're annoying. No wonder Tsunade left the village a few years ago. Naruto said. He walked up to Iruka and took the headband out of his hand and left the room. He had an hour before teams were selected since he was the last person to get chosen for the exam. He was laying with his head down when somebody jumped on the desk in front of him. He looked up and saw Kiba staring him down. Can I help you? Naruto asked. You think you're so tough. I bet I can beat you. Kiba said. Do not come at me with such a lie that would make you look even more foolish than you already do. Get out of my face. Naruto said. Let him be Kiba. We still have team assignments and I've heard that most genin teams spar often. We can just kick his during one of those. Narumi said. Besides, it's clear he isn't that strong. He always chickens out during the spars at the academy. He's probably the weakest genin this year. Menma said. Foolish little boy. Do not speak on what you do not know or understand. Naruto said, and Sasuke's eyes went wide hearing those words, and before he could say anything Iruka came back in. Alright everyone, settle down. I have the list of teams for you now, pay attention. Iruka said. He went through the first 6 teams and they were mainly civilian kids who didn't really pay attention. Naruto zoned out because of him not getting his name called. He was hoping to be on one of those teams, but he figured that now he would be with a bunch of people he doesn't like. He really didn't want to be in this village anymore, but had no place to go. Alright, Team 7 is a bit odd and will consist of Sakura Haruno, Narumi Uzumaki Namikaze, Sasuke Uchiha, Menma Uzumaki Namikaze and Naruto Uzumaki. Your team will have 2 leaders, Kakashi Hatake and Kushina Uzumaki Namikaze. Iruka said. Naruto took off his headband and everyone just looked at him. He took out a kunai and made a slash through the leaf symbol before putting it back on. Everyone was shocked at this because only rogue shinobi did that, and that put everyone on guard. Naruto, why did you do that? Iruka asked. Because I hate this village and I'm letting it be known that this is how I feel about it. Don't worry, I'm not betraying the village or anything, yet. Naruto said. You'll become a rogue shinobi if you leave. Kakashi said as he and Kushina came into the room. I can care less about any of that. This village sucks and I have no ties keeping me here. The first time I have a chance to leave, I'm doing it. Naruto said. You'll be hunted down. Kushina said. Mom, I really don't care. Besides, if I'm hunted down, it would take a borderline Sannin level shinobi to beat me. Once I leave, I'm never coming back. Plus, where I plan on going, you'll never be able to reach me. Naruto said. Please, you're weak. I'm the strongest in this class because I'm an Uchiha. Menma would be the second strongest and you're at the bottom. Sasuke said. Tell him, Sasuke. Sakura yelled. You're barely an Uchiha. You don't even have your Sharingan unlocked. You're nothing more than a glorified civilian from the Uchiha clan. If I'm so weak, why haven't my mother and Kakashi noticed that I'm standing behind them and you're all looking at an after image? Naruto said, and both Kushina and Kakashi turned around and Naruto was indeed behind them. I'll be on the roof for the stupid team meeting. Naruto said and walked out. Let's go Team 7. Kushina said. Rooftop. Alright, tell us your names, likes, dislikes and dreams for the future. Kushina said. Can you go first so we know how it's done? Sakura said. You just give your damn name, likes, dislikes and dreams. There's nothing difficult about that. You'd think someone who became Kunoichi of the year would know that. Naruto said. Naruto, shut up. Sakura yelled. She took a swing at him and missed. His finger twitched and then all of a sudden Sakura was frozen still and her eyes became cloudy. Nobody knew what happened and it took Kushina and Kakashi some time to realize she was under a genjutsu. They released the genjutsu and Sakura started to scream and sank to the ground holding her knees to her chest. He put her in a genjutsu with just the twitch of his fingers. Kakashi thought as he stared down Naruto. What was that? Narumi asked. Genjutsu. Kushina replied. But he didn't use any hand signs. Narumi said. Alright, let's just get back on track. I'm Kakashi Hatake. My likes and dislikes, I don't feel like telling you. My dreams for the future, never really thought about it. Kakashi said. Well, I'm Kushina Uzumaki Namkike. My likes are my family and ramen. I dislike perverts and liars. My dream for the future is to see all of my children happy and make my family whole again. Kushina said and glanced at Naruto. Sakura, you go next. Kakashi said. I'm Sakura Haruno. What I like, I mean the person I like. Squeal, my dream for the future, squeal. Sakura said. What do you dislike? Kakashi asked. Naruto. Sakura yelled. Sasuke, you're next. Kushina said. My name is Sasuke Uchiha. I hate a lot of things and I don't particularly like anything. What I have is not a dream because I will make it a reality. I'm going to restore my clan and destroy a certain someone. Sasuke said. Okay. Narumi, you're up next. Kushina said. I'm Narumi Uzumaki Namikaze. I like ramen and training and sometimes gossip. My dislikes, well, you can say there's one person in particular that I don't like, and rapists and perverts. My dream is to become the strongest kunoichi in history. Narumi said. I'm Menma Uzumaki Namikaze. I like ramen and training. My dislikes are the loser Naruto and anybody who tries to mess with me. My dream is to become Hokage and be the strongest ninja ever. Menma said. Okay then. Last but not least, Naruto. Kakashi said. I'm Naruto Uzumaki. Naruto said. No likes, dislikes or dreams. Kushina asked. I like being left alone. I dislike this village and everyone in it, and my dream is to leave this shithole of a village. Naruto said. No friends. Kushina asked. No. My only friend doesn't live here, and the people I consider my brothers, one of them is dead and the other is a rogue ninja since he killed his own clan. Naruto said. You knew Itachi? Sasuke asked. He trained me for 2 years with Shisui Uchiha before everything went down. Naruto said. I demand you teach me everything you know. Sasuke said. No. Naruto said. Meet us at Training Ground 7 at 5 a.m. You have a test to see if you'll become an actual genin or be sent back to the academy. Kakashi said, not wanting a fight to break out. What do you mean go back to the academy? Sakura asked. Out of the 29 graduates who just came here, only 9 will be accepted. However, since we have an odd amount, 11 will be accepted as genin. The other 18 will be weeded out and sent back to the academy. In other words, this is a make it or break it pass-fail test. The chance that you fail is at least 66%. Kakashi said. That's crazy. We worked hard to get here. What was that graduation test for anyway? Menma asked. That was just to select candidates who might become genin or not. Kushina said. What? Narumi asked. That's how it is. We decide whether you pass or fail. Kushina said. Just be at the training area by 5 a.m. Kakashi said and vanished. You heard him. 5 a.m. Kushina said and vanished. Next day, everyone was at the training ground waiting except for Kakashi. Kushina looked around as they sat around and talked. Menma and Narumi were talking together and Sakura was talking to Sasuke, trying to get him to go on a date with her. Kushina just shook her head at that. She looked around for Naruto but couldn't see him or sense his chakra signature. She wasn't the best sensor, but she should be able to feel Naruto's chakra. What she didn't know was that Naruto was up in the trees taking a nap. Hello everyone. Kakashi said as he appeared. You're actually on time. Menma and Narumi said. Well, I didn't get lost on the road of life and that cat wasn't around today. Plus your mother has my book. Now, let's begin. Kakashi said. We can't start without Naruto. Sakura said. He's already here. Kakashi said, pointing to a tree, and they all saw him sleeping. Naruto Uzumaki, wake up this instant. Kushina yelled and Naruto burped in his sleep before waking up. Huh, what's up? He asked, rubbing his eyes. It's time for the test. Me and Kushina have 3 bells between us. You have until noon to get them from us. Whoever does not get a bell will be dropped from the ninja program. Kakashi said, holding up 2 bells, and Kushina held up the other bell. What? You can't do that. Narumi said. Yeah, only the Hokage can drop someone from the ninja program. Menma said. My test. My rules. Now begin. Kakashi said as all the genin disappeared except Naruto, who was laying under the tree now. Naruto, sweetheart, you're supposed to try and get the bells. Kushina said. Why? We both know I'm no match for either of you. Naruto said. Why do I have a hard time believing that? Kakashi asked. I don't know. It would be a shame if the famous copy ninja was defeated by a lonely genin. If you want me to try, I will. Can I have a bell? He asked. No. Kakashi said. Oh well, I tried. Plus I already know the real reason behind this test. You should be more original in testing. This thing has been around for generations. Naruto said. How do you know that? Kushina asked. I found some journals belonging to the third Hokage and read them. Interesting stuff. I couldn't believe the old man was such a pervert, but hey, apparently every Hokage had odd quirks. Naruto said. Naruto sat back and watched as his team helplessly failed to get the bells one by one. Menma got poked in the by Kakashi and Naruto got a chuckle out of that one. Narumi kept falling for the simplest traps and did nothing but spam shadow clones. Sakura was caught in AD rank genjutsu, something that she should easily be able to get out of. Sasuke showed some promise. He used tactics and only struck at Kakashi or Kushina when he thought he had an opening. He failed in the end when Kakashi trapped him in the ground and then the bell rang. Oh well, looks like nobody passed. I guess you all will be dropped from the ninja program. Kakashi said. Drop us from the program. That means we'll have to start all over again. You said that if we didn't take the bells that we'd be sent back to the academy. You can't just change your mind and kick us out. Menma said. Yeah, why would you do that? Narumi asked. Because you don't think like a ninja. You think like little kids, like brats. Kakashi said. Sasuke got angry and attacked him with a kunai, but he wound up on the ground with Kakashi sitting on his back with a foot on the back of his head and his arm being held behind his back. You think it's all about you. Kakashi told Sasuke. Let go of Sasuke. You can't step on him like he's a bug. Sakura yelled. You don't know what it means to be a ninja. You think it's a game, huh? Why do you think we put you on squads? Did you consider that question for one moment? Kakashi asked. I don't know what you mean. Sakura said. I mean, you never realized what this exercise is all about. Not even close. Kakashi said. What it's about? Menma asked. Yes, that's what determines whether you pass or fail. Kakashi said. But that's. I mean, I wanted to ask you about that from the beginning. Sakura said. Use your head. 3 people on a squad. Why do you think we would do that? Kakashi asked. How are we supposed to know why you picked 3 people? We didn't make the rules. Menma exclaimed. Yeah, you stupid scarecrow. Just tell us the answer already. Narumi exclaimed. It's so basic and obvious. It's teamwork. That's the foundation of Konoha's ninja program. Why do you think we're the best ninja village when it comes to mission completion rate? Some ninjas aren't that strong, but they make up for it working together. You all have failed miserably. Kushina said. Well, what about that loser? He didn't even try. Menma said, pointing at Naruto. I didn't try because I already figured out the test long before we even graduated. Naruto said. You could have told us. Narumi said. It's the basic rule in our ninja program. You've been paired up in groups for every activity these past 7 years in the academy and it's never dawned on you that teamwork is essential. Kushina said. Just working together, is that what you mean? Sakura asked. That's what teamwork is, Sakura. Naruto said. Shut up. Sakura yelled and Naruto placed her in another genjutsu that she couldn't get out of. Naruto. Stop putting Sakura under advanced genjutsu. Kushina said. That was an E-rank genjutsu I put her under. Naruto said and Kushina frowned at that revelation. How the hell did she graduate if she can't get out of a basic E-rank genjutsu? Kushina asked. Simple. Her mother has been sleeping with all of the academy teachers. Naruto said. Why are me and Menma tied to these wooden poles? Narumi asked. Because you two didn't even try to help any of your teammates. It's too late now. But if all of you had come at me and Kushina as a team, you might have been able to take the bells from us. Well, anyway, it's over. Kakashi said. Wait a minute. You set it up with 5 people, but only 3 bells. If we worked together and got the bells, only 3 of us could keep them. That would lead to group conflict and the squad would break up. Sakura said. Exactly. We purposely pitted you against each other. We wanted to see if you could overcome that and put the squad ahead of yourselves. A genin should have a natural feel for teamwork. But it never even crossed any of your minds except for Naruto. Sakura. You obsessed about Sasuke who was gone, while Menma was right in front of you and you wouldn't lift a finger to help him. Kakashi said. Menma and Narumi, you both thought just because you're the Hokage's children that you didn't need any help. You both have been rushing into everything, falling for the simplest tricks and traps. You did everything on your own and didn't even consider helping none of your teammates. Kushina said. And you, Sasuke, Thought the others were so far beneath you, they were worthless. Arrogance. Kakashi said. Naruto didn't do anything either. Narumi said. He did, you just couldn't see him. He's been using his wind manipulation skills to throw us off and give you all an opening that you never saw because you were all too quick to rush into a fight instead of coming up with a plan of attack and analyzing the situation. Kushina said. Ninja missions are carried out in squads. Of course, you need individual skills, but teamwork is the most essential element. Every shinobi understands this. When individuals put themselves above the squad, this can lead to failure and death. For example, Sakura, kill Menma now or Sasuke dies. Kakashi said and put a kunai to Sasuke's neck and everyone but Naruto and Kushina were freaking out. That's what happens on a mission. Kakashi said and removed the kunai from Sasuke's neck. Oh boy, that was really scary. Sakura said. The enemy takes a hostage and you've got an impossible choice and someone ends up dead. Kakashi said. On every mission, your life's on the line. We don't have time for silly little games or people who aren't serious about becoming a ninja. Kushina said. Did you look at this stone, the names engraved on it? They're all ninja who are honored as heroes in our village. Kakashi sajd. That's it, that's it, that's it. Now, I know, I've decided I'm going to have my name engraved on that stone. I'm not going to live and die for nothing like a dog. On top of becoming Hokage, I'm going to be a hero. A hero, Menma exclaimed. They're a special kind of hero. Kakashi said. Huh, what kind of heroes are they? Come on, tell us. Narumi said. Well, Menma asked. They're all KIA. Kakashi said. Ooh, that sounds real cool. Menma said and Narumi nodded with him. It means killed in action, dumbass. This stone has the names of all ninja that have died in combat protecting this village or on a mission. You two were trained by 5 of the greatest ninjas from this village, yet you don't even know what this stone is about. Naruto said. Shut up, loser. Menma said. Yeah, shut up. Narumi said. This is a memorial stone. Naruto is right. The names of my closest friends are engraved here. All right, I'm going to give you one more chance. But I'm going to make it much harder on you. You'll have 3 hours to get a bell. Eat lunch now to build up strength. But, Menma and Narumi don't get any. It's your punishment for being tied to the tree stump. If anyone tries to feed them, that person will fail immediately. I make the rules. You follow them. Got it. Here are some bento boxes we had prepared, now eat up. Kakashi said and walked away. Sakura and Sasuke grabbed a bento box and began eating. Naruto simply looked at his bento box and didn't want it. He heard Menma and Narumi's stomach growling and decided to have a little fun with them for all the stuff they put him through growing up. He simply walked up to them and sitted the bento in half, placing one side on the ground in front of them. Naruto. What are you doing? We can't feed them. Kakashi said so. Sakura said. I'm not feeding them. Their stomach is growling and they seem hungry. If they want to eat, they can have mine. Of course they'll have to feed themselves since I'm not a babysitter. Now, eat up. You'll need your strength. Naruto said with a smirk and walked away to where Kushina and Kakashi were hiding. Is that necessary? Kushina asked. Think of it as payback for everything they put me through growing up. Naruto said and they saw Sakura offer to help feed them the food. Looks like they pass. Kushina said and Kakashi disappeared and then a huge cloud of smoke appeared in front of them. You broke the rules. I hope you're ready for the punishment. Any last words? Kakashi asked and went through hand signs creating a dark cloud. But you said. Menma said as he was shaking. Yes. Kakashi asked. You said that there were 5 of us. That's what you said and that's why Sakura. Menma stopped talking. We're all on this squad as we're all in it together. Sasuke said. Yeah, that's right. Naruto gave his lunch to them and we helped feed them because the 5 of us are one. Sakura said. Yeah, what they said. You one-eyed scarecrow. Narumi said. The 5 of you are one. That's your excuse. You pass. Kakashi said with an eye smile. Huh. Sakura and Menma asked. What? Narumi asked. You pass. Kakashi said. What do you mean? How did we pass? Sakura asked. You're the first squad that ever succeeded. The others did exactly what I said and fell into every trap. They couldn't think for themselves. A ninja must see through deception. In the ninja world, Those who break the rules are scum. That's true. But, those who abandon their friends are worse than scum. Kakashi said. Nice speech. Too bad you missed one important thing. Naruto said. What's that? Kakashi asked. This team is filled with nothing but scum. Sasuke will do anything to get power because he thinks he'll one day become strong enough to beat Itachi. Sakura will betray the team and put us in danger if anything happens to Sasuke. Menma and Narumi are arrogant spoiled brats who hate my guts, and I've already told you all that I'm a flight risk and want out of this village. This team is designed to fail and you both know it. Naruto said. That's not true. Kakashi said. Please, the only reason you wanted this team is because my mom can use her chakra chains to stop Menma and Narumi when they lose control of the Nine Tails chakra. You only wanted to train Sasuke because you see a lot of your younger self in him. Which I might add, isn't a good thing considering your past that I read up on. Naruto said. I think that's enough, Naruto. Kushina said. Sakura was basically a throw-in because the Kunoichi of the year and Rookie of the year must be on the same team. I'm only on this team because it's some pathetic attempt by your Hokage to try and get close to me again. The person who should really be on this team is Kiba since he's the dead last. I guarantee Menma, Narumi and Sakura freeze up on our first mission outside of the village. Naruto said. I won't freeze up. Narumi said. Yeah, we were trained by the best for 8 years. Unlike you, we're ready for anything, loser. Menma said. You were trained by the best for 8 years, yet you only possess Genin level skills. You should be able to challenge Kakashi right now, but you can't. All you have is shadow clones and 2 of the basic Academy 3. Your trump card is the Nine Tails chakra, which can be suppressed. You two are almost as pathetic as Sakura. Naruto said and walked away. I'll show you pathetic. Menma yelled. He tapped into some of the Nine Tails chakra and rushed at Naruto so fast that the other genin couldn't see him. Kushina got her chains ready, but before she could act, Menma had Naruto's fist buried in his gut. Naruto grabbed Menma by the throat and slammed him to the ground before giving him a chakra-enhanced kick, sensing him flying through one of the surrounding trees. Naruto. That was unnecessary. Kakashi said. Oh, but it was okay for him to attack me while using the Nine Tails chakra. You're a disgrace and will be horrible as a team leader. Naruto said and left the training grounds. Kushina looked at Naruto as he walked away. She sighed and had to face the facts. There was no way her family would be whole like she wanted. She tried over the years, but Menma, Narumi and Minato were all too full of themselves to even have a family dinner. She made up her mind. If Naruto wanted to leave the village, she wouldn't stop him. She'd rather him be happy somewhere else, than have him stay in the Leaf Village and be angry and miserable. I tried, Mito. I really tried. Kushina thought and vanished. Sasuke. I'm at point B. Sasuke said. Sakura. I'm at point C. Sakura said. I got the cat. Naruto said. Naruto. You were supposed to eat for all of us to get in position. Kakashi said. Yeah, like I'm gonna wait for all of you just to catch a damn cat. Let's take this thing to the mission office and get this chore over with. Naruto said. Is the cat still alive? Kushina asked. No. Naruto said. You weren't supposed to kill it. Narumi said. You idiot. You just failed our mission for us. Menma said. Don't care. Naruto said and broke his headset he was wearing. Mission office. What did you do to my Tora? A fat lady asked. I killed it. Naruto said. Naruto. The mission was to find Tora and bring her back. Minato said. We completed the mission. If she wanted the stupid cat alive, then she should have been more specific in how it's brought back. Naruto said. I actually don't care. I wanted a dog, but my husband keeps buying me cats. I'll pay you quadruple for getting rid of the cat. She said and paid them quadruple the amount. I like this one. You may be able to join the Fire Guardian 12 if you do well in the Chunin exams. The lady said. That's if I even last here. I plan on leaving this shithole of a village, so don't bet your hopes up, lady. Naruto said. Naruto, shut up. Sakura yelled. You're going to get dad in trouble. Narumi yelled and Naruto just placed both of them in AC rank genjutsu. Listen here, loser. You've got 3 seconds to release my sister and her friend from that genjutsu or else. Menma said. Or else what? Naruto asked. Or else you won't like what I do next. Menma said. Menma started drawing on the Nine Tails chakra and Naruto just stared at him with a blank expression. Naruto added more and more chakra into the genjutsu, causing Narumi and Sakura to scream out some more and even louder. Menma grew a tail from the Nine Tails chakra and charged at Naruto, who just grabbed him by the throat and choked him until he passed out. He dropped Menma to the floor and kicked him over to where he knew Jiraiya was hiding. Control your pet fox before I put him down for good. Tell that pervert hiding that he sucks as a teacher if this is all his students can do. Naruto said. Perhaps we should take a C rank mission. Kakashi said. Are they ready? Minato asked, looking at Naruto. Don't look at me. Look at the rest of this team. Naruto said. They're ready. Maybe this mission will push them all to become better. Kushina said. Send in our visitor. Minato said, and the door opened, revealing a drunk old man. What the? A bunch of little snot-nosed kids. The pink-haired girl looks like she'll faint if she broke a nail. The emo kid looks like somebody killed his favorite pet. The small redhead girl can't even control her own bladder. The one-eyed scarecrow probably can't see how many fingers I'm holding up. Then we have the little one with the idiotic look on his face. You really expect me to believe he's a ninja? The man asked. Who's the little one with the idiotic look on his face? Menma asked, and everyone just looked at him. I'll demolish you. Let me get my hand on him. Menma said while being held back by Kakashi. You can't demolish the client, Menma. It doesn't work that way. Kakashi said. At least the dual hair-colored boy looks like a ninja. The redhead beauty though, she can just do the mission by herself with me. Maybe we can get to know each other better. The man said, and then a kunai went through his bottle of sake and was stuck right by his ear. Watch how you talk about my mother. Next time I won't miss. Naruto said and glared at him. Sorry. Won't happen again. The man said. It better be. One slip up during the mission and I won't hesitate to remove what makes you a man and shove it down your throat. What's your name anyway? Naruto asked. I am Tazuna, a master bridge builder, and I must return to my country. I'm building a bridge there that would change our world, and I expect you to get me there safely, even if it means giving up your life. Tazuna said. Well, this is Kakashi Hatake and Kushina Uzumaki Namikaze. They're the Jonin in charge of leading this mission. Sasuke Uchiha, Sakura Haruno, Menma Uzumaki Namikaze, Narumi Uzumaki Namikaze, and Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze. Minato said. It's just Naruto Uzumaki. I dropped the Namikaze name years ago. Naruto said. Alright everyone, pack for a 3-week-long mission and meet us at the gates in an hour. Kakashi said, and everyone left. Naruto, can you stay back for a bit? Minato asked. I could, but I'm not. Naruto said. As your Hokage, I order you to stay back. Minato said with authority. As a genin to this village I clearly don't like, I say no. Naruto said and vanished in a shunshin. How does a genin know that jutsu already? Jiraiya asked. Guess who trained him and you'll know. Kushina said. Shisui Uchiha. Minato answered. He was well known for his genjutsu and his ability to use the shunshin. Jiraiya said. Exactly. Kushina said. Well, you should get ready for your mission. Your team should do good. After all, you have the 2 strongest genin on your team. Jiraiya said. Who? Kushina asked. Menma and Narumi. Minato said. They're not the strongest genin. Certainly top 5, but they're not the strongest. Kushina said. Kushina, they're borderline Jonin level shinobi. There's no way they aren't the strongest genin. Jiraiya said. You're right, they are Jonin level shinobi, but that's only when they use 2 tails of the 9 tails chakra. Take away the 9 tails chakra and they're just mid-genin level shinobi. They refused to learn any taijutsu and both settled for a random brawling style. You were there when they didn't want to learn fuinjutsu. They'll never be able to do genjutsu and can't really get out of genjutsu, as you saw earlier. Ninjutsu wise, they only know the shadow clones and 2 of the Academy 3. You 2 allowed them to only rely on the 9 tails chakra and failed to actually teach them anything. I heard about you having Naruto do an extra 2 jutsus for his headband. That's the reason he wants to leave this village now. Kushina said. He wants to leave. Why? Minato asked. Because he doesn't like the village or its people. Besides me, Shizune and Anko, he doesn't have any ties to this village. He's already made a slash mark through his headband. I'll give him 6 months to a year before he leaves and I might not join in stopping him. Kushina said. He's just a genin. We can send a Chunin after him and get him back. Jiraiya said. See, that won't work. You'll need to send an Anbu squad after him. He's almost as strong as Kakashi or possibly stronger than him. I've bonded and sparred with him a few times over the years. I've been fighting him at mid-Jonin speeds and he was able to keep up with me. He's the strongest genin. He's essentially a seal master. His taijutsu is probably mid-Anbu level. Genjutsu is, dare I say, at the level of Shisui when he was his age. It might be better. Ninjutsu. He has 4 chakra natures and mastered them all. His kenjutsu is good as well, he just doesn't have a sword that works for him. He's years ahead of all the genin we have this year and most Chunin and Jonin. Kushina said. I thought you were supposed to be training Menma and Narumi. We need to make sure they're strong and don't fall on that path of darkness. Jiraiya said. I'm with Jiraiya on this one, Kushina. We agreed to teach Menma and Narumi together. Minato said. That was the plan, but you two decided to ignore everything I wanted to teach them and made them only focus on brawling and some basic chakra control exercises. No ninjutsu. No lessons on breaking genjutsu. No taijutsu other than fighting like a common thug. No fuinjutsu lessons and no kenjutsu lessons. I stumbled on Naruto reading a level 10 sealing book when he was 8 and decided I would try to mend the broken relationship we had and we've become like an actual mother and son. Kushina said. We're all waiting for you, Mom. Naruto said, appearing in the office again. I'm on my way. Kushina said and left. Naruto. Stay back for a second. Minato said. No. Naruto said and vanished. This isn't good. With Naruto being so strong, Menma and Narumi will become obsessed with being stronger than him and will possibly do anything to get strong. We need to train them harder now. Jiraiya thought. Minato. We need to up Menma and Narumi's training. If they see Naruto's true strength they can begin to obsess over power and take any way they can. Jiraiya said. I know. We'll talk to them after the mission. Minato said. What about Naruto? Jiraiya asked. I'll have an Anbu unit keep an eye on him whenever he's in the village. Since he's a flight risk, I'll have to hold him back from being promoted. He can still compete in the Chunin exams, but he won't be able to make Chunin. He'll stay a genin until he is no longer a flight risk. Minato said and Jiraiya nodded, unaware that Kushina was right outside the door listening. Team 7. Yeah, alright. Menma exclaimed as they walked out of the village gates. What are you getting so excited about, Menma? Sakura asked. This is the first time I ever left the village. I'm a traveler now, Menma said, looking around. Hey, am I supposed to trust my life to this runt? He's a joke, Tazuna said, and Menma stopped looking around. He's with us and both Kushina and I are Jonin, so you don't need to worry. Kakashi said. He's just excited about being out of the village. I'm sure all of them are. Kushina said. I know I am. Narumi said. I've been out of the village before with my family. Sakura said. HN. Sasuke said. Hey, never insult a ninja. It's a big mistake. I'm one of the greatest ninja ever. Someday I'm going to become Hokage and you'll look up to me. My name's Menma Uzumaki Namikaze. Remember it. Menma said. Let's just go. Kakashi said. Hokage are powerful and wise. You are puny and brainless. The day you become Hokage, I'll sprout wings and fly. Tazuna said. Ah, shut up. I'm willing to do anything to become Hokage, no matter what it takes. When I do, everyone will have to admit that I'm the top ninja, including you. Menma said. You can start by shutting up. A Hokage wouldn't yell at the top of his lungs like a dumbass and possibly get his team killed. Naruto said and walked away while taking a glance into the trees, something Kushina caught onto. What's the matter? Kushina whispered as she caught up to Naruto. This isn't a C-ranked mission. We're being followed by 2 Chunin level ninja and if I had to guess, Tazuna is their target. There's 2 more further ahead. One of them is a low Jonin level shinobi. The other is as strong as Kakashi. Naruto whispered. We have to go back. Kushina whispered. No we don't. We have a cage level kunoichi, an elite Junin and a mid-Anbu level genin. We'll be fine. Naruto said. Yes, but you've never fought anyone outside of me. Kushina said. Not true. That old man Danzo, who's on the council, kept sending his illegal Anbu after me over the years and I've had to fight them off. He thinks I still have some of the 9 tails in me, but me and you know that I don't. He stopped sending them when I was 11 since they would never return. Naruto said. Why didn't you tell me? Kushina asked. Because your mother instincts would kick in and you'd go and kill him. Can't have one of the 3 people I actually care about in this village get sent away because of Danzo. He'll get what's coming to him, but for now, careful planning is needed. Naruto said. Excuse me, Mr. Tazuna. Sakura asked. What is it? Tazuna asked. Your country is the land of waves, right? Sakura asked. Yeah, what of it? Tazuna asked. Kakashi-sensei, there are ninja in that country too, aren't there? Sakura asked. No, there are no ninja in the land of waves. But in other countries there are hidden villages, each with their own different customs and cultures, where ninja reside. Kakashi said and paused before continuing. To the people of this continent, the existence of shinobi villages means strength, military strength. In other words, that's how they protect themselves and maintain the balance of power with neighboring countries. The ninja villages are not controlled by any government. They're independent and have equal status. A small island like the Land of Waves has natural protection from the sea, so there's no need for a ninja village. The 5 ancient lands that possess shinobi villages are the lands of fire, water, lightning, wind and earth. Each occupying vast territories. Together they are known as the 5 great shinobi nations. Only the leaders of these hidden villages are permitted the name Kage, which means shadow. Hokage, Mizukage, Raikage, Mizukage and Tsuchikage. These are the leaders of the 5 shadows that reign over thousands of ninja. Kakashi said. Then Lord Hokage's really important. Sakura said. Our dad is pretty awesome. Menma said. Yeah, he's the strongest ninja in the village. Narumi said. He's not the strongest. He hasn't really trained in a decade. I bet mom could even beat him now if she wanted to. Naruto thought and smirked with a chuckle. Hey, Kakashi said to Naruto. What? Naruto asked. You just doubted Minato-sensei, didn't you? Kakashi asked. Yeah, I did. What are you going to do about it? Naruto asked. He's not going to do anything, but I will. Menma said, pulling out a kunai. Then do something. Naruto said. He was suddenly behind Menma, who froze and dropped his kunai as he felt Naruto holding his own kunai at his throat. The only people who saw him move were Kushina and Kakashi. He's fast. Sakura thought. He's only a genin. How can he move that fast already? Sasuke thought. One move and I'll take you out, Naruto. Narumi thought, getting a kunai ready. Naruto. Stop, that's enough. Kushina said, and Naruto removed his kunai from Menma's neck. Anyway, there are no ninja battles in AC ranked missions, so you can relax. Kakashi said to Sakura. And we're not going to run into any foreign enemy ninja or anything like that. Sakura said, and Kakashi laughed. Not likely. Kakashi said. They continued walking and passed a puddle on the ground. Sakura, Menma, Narumi, Sasuke and Tazuna thought nothing of the puddle. Naruto, Kakashi and Kushina, however, all knew it was a trap. Kakashi looked at Kushina out of the corner of his eye and she nodded slightly. Naruto kept his impassive face and acted as if nothing happened. They walked some more and out of the puddle came 2 shinobi and they wrapped some chains around Kakashi and Kushina, who were then ripped to shreds. Mom! Menma and Narumi yelled. The 2 enemy ninja appeared behind Menma and Narumi and went to attack them. Before they could do anything, Sasuke jumped into action and threw a kunai and shuriken, pinning the enemy chain to a tree. Sasuke landed on their gauntlets and pushed them away from the tree until the chains broke. The enemy ninja then ran away from them and straight at Sakura, who was guarding Tazuna. She ran in front of Tazuna with a kunai ready and Sasuke went in front of her to help. Before they knew what happened, Kakashi and Kushina had both of the ninja in a headlock. Hi, Kakashi said. Hey guys. Kushina said. Kakashi and Kushina sensei. They're alive. Sakura thought. Huh, show off. Sasuke thought. Wait, what? Menma asked. I thought you both were dead. Narumi exclaimed. We used a substitution jutsu and a small genjutsu. Kushina said. Sorry we didn't help you right away, Menma. I didn't mean for you to get hurt. We just didn't think you'd freeze up like that. Kakashi said. They saved me after all. Tazuna thought. Good job, Sasuke. You too, Sakura. Kakashi said, and then they heard a loud scream. So, Tazuna. Not that I care, But why did you lie about the mission? Naruto asked. What do you mean? Kushina asked. This is an A-ranked mission. He needs an escort because Gato of Gato's shipping business is bleeding the land of waves bad and Tazuna is the only hope they have. He's building a bridge and Gato doesn't want that to happen. These two ninja are after Tazuna to kill him and if they fail, they have two more accomplices up ahead waiting for us. Naruto said. How do you know? Kakashi asked. While you were giving heaps and praise to Sasuke and his fangirl, I was using a genjutsu to torture and interrogate our little buddy over there. Now, I don't know about all of you, but I'd like to keep going. I want to fight whoever the shinobi is ahead of us. Naruto said. Well, we can continue, but I'd have to send for backup. Team 8 is the only available team so they would have to meet up with us. Kushina said and Naruto groaned. Can it not be Team 8? He asked. What's wrong with Team 8? Kushina asked. Kurenai is fine, I know her through Anko. It's her team that's the problem. Kiba is a horny little boy who thinks he's the best and never knows how to lie down like a good little doggy that he is. Shino has one more time to put one of his bugs on me or I'll kill him in front of everybody and Hinata is the worst of them all. Naruto said. Hinata is so sweet though. What could be bad about her? Kushina asked. She's a damn stalker. She constantly follows me around that damn village and even uses that Byakugan to try and spy on me. I'd rather die than go on a mission with them. Naruto said. We need the backup though. Kakashi said. They're a tracking team with a Jonin instructor who specializes in genjutsu. They won't be much help. I can do genjutsu better than Kurenai and my sensing ability is way better than their entire team. I can feel people over 20 miles away in all directions without even trying and I can even tell their emotions. We have a cage level ninja, an elite Jonin level ninja who should honestly be a cage level shinobi by now, but decided to slack off and then we have me who can take on an Anbu head on. We're fine. Naruto said. Well, what do you all think? Kakashi asked. I'm going. I don't want my first mission out of the village to go on my record as a failure. Menma said. He's right. I say we go on. Sasuke said. Yeah, we're the Hokage's children, we can handle this. Narumi said. I'm in as well. Sakura said not wanting to disappoint Sasuke. Well, let's go then. Kushina said. They kept walking and throughout the trip, Sakura was constantly asking Sasuke out on a date. Menma and Narumi were busy arguing over who's stronger between the two and Naruto was hanging back keeping aware of his surroundings. They made it to a boat and were carried across the water taking them to the other side. This fog's so thick you can't see anything. Sakura said. The bridge isn't far now. Our destination's just ahead, the land of waves. The man rowing the boat said and as they sailed further, the bridge that was being built came into view. Whoa, it's huge. Menma said. What? Quiet. I told you. No noise. Why do you think we're traveling like this, huh? Cutting off the engine and rowing, moving through the dense fog so they don't see us. The man whispered harshly making Menma cover his mouth. Naruto, what genjutsu did you use back there? Kushina asked. I can't tell you right now. Naruto said. Why not? Kushina asked. Because it has to do with a secret I haven't told anybody. Naruto said. You do know I can force you to tell us. We are your Jonin instructors after all. Kakashi said. You do realize I can create a seal in less than a second and kill all of us, right? Naruto asked. He's bluffing. Narumi said. Yeah, only mom, dad and pervy sage can do that. Menma said. He's not lying. He's a seal master and is the youngest seal master in Konoha history and soon to be in Uzumaki history. Within a few years he'll be better than me and I'm the best seal master there is alive. Kushina said. You're better than Lord Fourth. Sakura asked. I'm the one who got him into sealing. Kushina said. Wait, even though he's a seal master, you're better than him. How is that possible? Sakura asked. He's a seal master by Konoha standards. By Uzumaki standards, he's a rookie. Naruto's considered an intermediate Fuinjutsu user. Only thing Minato has over him is speed since he's been making seals for almost 20 years. Give Naruto another year or two and he'll be better than Minato. Kushina said. Whatever. Me and Menma are still stronger than him. Narumi said. Let's put your skills to the test then. Naruto said and jumped off the boat and stood on the water. How's he doing that? Sakura asked. Please, I can do that too. Menma said, and when he jumped off the boat he started to drown. Naruto. Help him. Sakura whispered harshly. No. Naruto said, and Kakashi made a clone go and save Menma. Why didn't you save your brother? Kakashi asked, glaring at Naruto. He's not my brother. I have no family other than my mother. If he wants to jump off the boat like an idiot knowing he can't stand on water or swim, it's not my fault if he drowns. Naruto said. I'll be sure to write you up. Potentially have you stripped of your ninja license. Kakashi said. Then do it. It makes everything easier for me when I decide to leave that shithole of a village. I'll be a civilian and I can leave the village if I want to without any ninja coming after me. Naruto said. We're approaching the shore. Tazuna, we've been very fortunate. No one had noticed us so far. The man said. Nice going. Tazuna said. They sailed a bit more and went through a runner underneath the bridge. There was a bright light at the end of the tunnel, and once they were out, they saw trees and no more fog. The boat reached shore and everyone exited the boat. That's as far as I go. Good luck. The man said. Right. Thank you for taking such a risk. Tazuna said. Just be careful. The man said and started the boat engine. Okay. Take me to my home, and I mean get me there in one piece. Tazuna said. Right. Kakashi said. They started walking again and everyone was surrounding Tazuna. Menma and Sasuke were covering the front. Sakura and Narumi were on the sides and Naruto was in the back with Kushina and Kakashi. Along the way Menma was trying to prove himself and started jumping at the slightest sound, acting as if he was on guard. They walked a bit longer and Naruto smirked and Kakashi looked to his right, making Menma throw a kunai into the bushes. Sakura had enough and smacked him in the head. Why'd you do that? Someone really is following us. I mean it. Menma said. Yeah, right. Stop acting like a dumb kid. Sakura said. Kakashi ignored them and walked into the bushes where Menma threw his kunai. He saw the kunai was just above the head of a white rabbit who was scared. Kakashi then realized that a rabbit shouldn't have white fur this time of the year. Up in the trees looking down at them, there was another shinobi in the trees with a big sword on his back. Naruto already knew he was there, as well as his little helper that was further back in the trees. So, they're already here. Kakashi thought, glancing into the trees. No wonder the demon brothers failed their mission. It's the copy ninja and the red-hot-blooded habanero of the Leaf Village. Kakashi Hatake of the Sharingan and Kushina Uzumaki Namikaze. I can handle Kakashi myself. Kushina, however, she'll be a tough opponent. The man thought as he vanished and then threw his sword at them. Everyone get down. Kakashi said. The sword came flying at them and everyone hit the ground. Kushina ducked out of the way. Kakashi did the same. Menma tackled Narumi to the ground and Sasuke tackled Tazuna and Sakura to the ground. Naruto just vanished from the area and nobody knew where he was. The sword slammed into a tree and a man appeared on top of it. They were all staring at this man with intensity and Menma started to grin. Here it is, my chance to shine. I'm ready this time. Menma thought. Well, if it isn't Zabuza Momochi, rogue ninja from the village hidden in the mist. Kakashi said. Rogue ninja. Whatever. Nothing's gonna stop me. I've been trained by the best ninjas from my village. Menma thought and started to run towards Zabuza, but was stopped by Kakashi. You're in the way. Get back. Kakashi said. But why? Menma asked. He's not like those other ninja. He's in a whole other league. If he's our opponent, I'll need this. Kakashi said, reaching for his headband. Kakashi of the Sharingan Eye. Did I get that right? It's too bad, huh? But you'll have to hand over the old man. Zabuza said. Sharingan. What is that? Menma thought as he never paid attention in school. What's he saying? Does he have some special power? Sakura thought. Now quick. Manji formation. Protect the bridge builder and stay out of this fight. I taught you teamwork. Now it's time to use it. I'm ready. Kakashi ordered and lifted up his headband, revealing a Sharingan with 3 tomo. Ah, his eye. What is that? Menma thought. Well, looks like I get to see the Sharingan in action. This is an honor. Zabuza said. Everyone keeps saying Sharingan, Sharingan. Will someone please tell me what Sharingan is? Menma asked. Yeah, what is it? Narumi asked. Sharingan. A rare power that resides in the eyes. The user of this visual dujutsu can instantly see and comprehend any genjutsu, ninjutsu and taijutsu and reflect the attack back on the attacker. The Sharingan is a special rare form of dojutsu. However, there's more to the Sharingan than that. A lot more. Sasuke said. You got it right, boy. But you've only scratched the surface. The Sharingan can analyze an opponent's technique and then copy it to the smallest detail. Zabuza said, and mist started to form. As for you, Jonin, in the assassination unit of the Hidden Mist, we had a standing order to destroy you on sight. Your profile was in our bingo book. It called you the man who copied over 1,000 jutsu. Kakashi, the copy ninja. Zabuza said, and everyone was so busy focused on Kakashi and Zabuza, that they didn't notice Naruto grab Kushina and disappear. Wow. That's so cool. Menma said. Kushina and Naruto. Why'd you grab me? Kushina harshly whispered. Zabuza has an accomplice. Naruto said. Good. So let's grab whoever it is and take out Zabuza. Kushina said. No. Kakashi should be able to handle Zabuza. If the accomplice gets involved, then Menma, Narumi and Sasuke should be able to handle whoever it is. Naruto said. Sakura too. Kushina said, and Naruto just looked at her. Okay, not Sakura. If we're not here to grab the accomplice, then what are we doing here? Kushina asked. Have you been hearing voices since we came to the land of waves? Naruto asked. A little bit. All Uzumaki clan leaders have been known to hear them. Uzushiogakure is close to the land of waves, so I've been hearing them. Why? Kushina asked. Because the same voices have been in my head since we reached the land of waves, and they're getting stronger and stronger. Naruto said. That means you're definitely the next in charge. Kushina said sadly. I know. But the thing is, something else is calling out from me in the same direction. It's telling me to come and release them or come save them. I wanna check it out. Naruto said. We're in the middle of a mission. Kushina said. So let's make a blood clone with a reinforcement seal on them and head to see what's calling out to me. They'll never know the difference, and we can release the clones when we get back. It's something over there still, something important, and I want to grab whatever it is before an enemy finds a way to get into the island. Naruto said, and Kushina thought about it for a few seconds. Alright, let's go. Kushina said. They made their blood clones and had them go back and watch over Team 7. The real Kushina and Naruto took off towards Uzushiogakure. They ran across the water quickly and were grateful for their large chakra reserves and high stamina levels. They both ran full speed, which was a shock to Kushina that Naruto kept up with her, because she had cage-level speeds due to her keeping up with training after giving birth. She wasn't as fast as Minato or the fourth Raikage, but she was close to them. Naruto, how fast are you? Kushina asked while running. I don't know. Ever since I learned how to make resistance seals and have them increase when it became too easy for me to move around, I've never deactivated them. Naruto said. You do realize I'm running at full speed, right? Kushina asked. Now, I do. I thought you were running slow in order for me to keep up. Naruto said. I think if you deactivated the seals you'd be as fast as the fourth Raikage. Anyway, we should get there in a few more minutes, and I know the voices are getting louder for you since they are for me. Kushina said. Yeah, they are. Naruto said. What are you going to do with whatever you find? It could be sealing notes or weapons. Kushina said. Whatever it is, you can have it. There's got to be more Uzumaki alive out in the world hiding. There's no way they didn't have a backup plan to get the young children out of the village in case of an attack. There must be more out there. Naruto said. Are you sure you don't want it? Kushina asked. We both know when you pass over the title of clan head that I'll be away from the village. I don't want the clan head seat. Narumi can have it. Naruto said. Where will you go? Kushina asked. Another dimension. Naruto said. How's that even possible? A seal or something? Kushina asked. No. What I'm about to show you cannot be repeated to anyone. Naruto said. What is it? Kushina asked. This. Naruto said, and activated his Sharingan. What the hell? How? Kushina yelled, and Naruto went on to explain everything to her about the Nine Tails and how he unlocked his Sharingan. Let me get this straight. The nine-tailed fox is no longer inside of you and is now split into two, with Menma and Narumi each holding a half. The nine-tailed fox also unlocked your Sharingan, which is from Minato's lineage that he doesn't even know about, and the nine tails also gave you an incredible healing ability. Kushina said. Yeah. Naruto said. Wait, The Sharingan doesn't have any abilities that can open a portal to a different dimension. Kushina said. Yes, it does. Naruto said and activated his Mangekyo Sharingan, Naka's Mangekyo design. What is that? Kushina asked. This is the Mangekyo Sharingan. The fourth level after the usual 3 Tomo Sharingan and is only activated after a deep emotional situation. It is usually activated when somebody close to you dies. Naruto said sadly. Shisui is what caused you to activate your Mangekyo. Kushina said. Yeah, I've had it since I was 7. The Mangekyo grants you better vision and unique abilities, like the Kamui, Tsukuyomi, Koto Amatsukami, Amaterasu, Kagutsuchi, Izanami, Izanagi and Susanoo. Naruto said. What's the price? This sounds too good to not come with a price. Kushina said. The price is if you overuse the Mangekyo Sharingan, then you become blind and must seek out a pair of Mangekyo Sharingan eyes from a relative to achieve eternal light. Naruto said. None of your relatives have the Sharingan though. So you'll become blind then. Kushina said. No, I already have a pair of eyes sealed away that were given to me. The 9 tails tweaked my Mangekyo so I can use any pair of eyes to gain eternal light. Naruto said. Whose eyes? Kushina asked. Shisui's. After he died he gave his eyes to Itachi, who gave them to me, saying Shisui wanted me to have them. Naruto said. How close are you to losing your eyesight? Kushina asked. I'm still a long way away from losing it. I've only used my Mangekyo abilities on the Anbu that Danzo would send after me. Naruto said. What abilities do you have? Kushina asked. Tsukuyomi, Kamui, Amaterasu and Kagutsuchi. I guess I have the Susanoo as well, but I just haven't unlocked it yet. I've pretty much got all of those abilities completely mastered. You should know about the Kamui. Naruto said. How would I know? Kushina asked. It's how that masked man who claimed to be Madara Uchiha was able to move you so quickly. Naruto said. How do you know about that? Kushina asked. He tried to capture me when I was training a few years ago. I have the Uzumaki sensing ability, but mine is enhanced so I was able to sense him coming. I tricked him with a shadow clone, and due to me talking to the 9 tails I told him that I knew about everything that happened when we were born. He'll be back, so if you want Menma and Narumi to live, then you better make sure they are trained seriously. He might have a group of people gathered up right now to capture all the tailed beasts. Itachi told me about this group called the Akatsuki that he's joining. Naruto said. Why didn't you say anything? Kushina asked. When it happened, we didn't exactly have a relationship. Actually, we never even talked unless it was me getting in trouble for something Menma and Narumi did. After a while, none of you actually paid attention to me. Naruto said. I know. I was too caught up in Menma and Narumi being the child or children of prophecy that I was neglecting you. It took Anko bringing you home one day after she helped you train for me to realize I was neglecting you. Kushina said. It's water under the bridge now. We're actually like a mother and son now. Naruto said. I don't know everything though. Who was that girl on your 5th birthday? I haven't seen her around the village at all. Kushina said. Her name's Raven. She wasn't from this dimension and was here because her mother was showing her how to use her powers. She actually gave me a gift that day. Naruto said and pulled out the violet kunai. That's a nice kunai. I didn't know they made kunai this color though. Kushina said. They don't. Raven used her powers to make this and even engraved her name on it. Naruto said. Wait, is she the reason you want to go to a different dimension? Kushina asked. I got the idea from her mother when she said they weren't from this dimension. It would be nice to look for Raven when I leave, but I'm not really looking for her. I just want to go somewhere and be happy. Naruto said. I know. How are you going to open a dimension portal though? Kushina asked. I've been working on a jutsu with my Mangekyo Sharingan. It's called Dimension Kotoru. I haven't really gotten it to work yet, but it's about 65% complete. I'll have it done in a few months hopefully. Naruto said. How did you come up with that? Kushina asked. It happened one day when I was practicing the Kamui. If I can trap things in a pocket dimension that only I can access, I thought about being able to transfer myself to another dimension itself. I combine it with the power of the Kamui and Hiraishin, but it only works with the Mangekyo Sharingan. It's supposed to open up a portal that allows me to walk through it and enter another dimension. Naruto said. That's impressive. I do have to admit though, I don't want to see you leave. Kushina said. I know. Maybe we'll be lucky enough to get a summoning contract and sign it. We'll be able to send letters through them. The summoning jutsu is basically like dimension traveling. Naruto said. Well, let's find one that we can both agree on that will work for us. Kushina said as they reached Uzushiogakure. Wow, this place is amazing despite all of the destroyed buildings and skeletons. Naruto said. I know. I grew up here and had a few friends before I was moved to Konoha. Kushina said. You realize they kept you and Mito in Konoha because they wanted the Uzumaki sealing scrolls, right? Naruto asked. Of course I knew that. What they didn't know was that only an Uzumaki can learn those seals because only an Uzumaki can read them. I guess that's why Menma can't read them since his Namikaze genes are dominant. Narumi was able to read it, but it was too complicated for her to understand. You on the other hand, I don't know. Neither of your genes are dominant. It shows in your hair half blonde half red, it's amazing. Kushina said. Maybe it's because I can use the Uzumaki chakra chains. Naruto said. You can use the Uzumaki chakra chains. Kushina said as her hair split up into 9 flowing parts. Yeah, Naruto said, shrinking away. Why didn't you tell me? Kushina yelled. I thought you knew. I used them a lot to get practice. It must have slipped my mind. Naruto said. I'll accept that answer. Now we've reached the center of the village and the voices are the loudest here. Kushina said. They entered the main building of the Uzumaki clan and walked over to a seal on the wall. Kushina and Naruto both poured chakra into the wall and it crumbled away. The voices became even louder, giving them both a headache. They walked down some stairs and Naruto had to use his fire manipulation to create a flame in his hand. This impressed Kushina because she's never seen anything like that before. They reached the end of the steps and stood looking at about 15 to 20 scrolls that they knew were sealing scrolls. They also saw a blood-red sword on the wall with a pitch-black handle. Kushina grabbed the sword and spaced out for a minute before she came back to reality and gave Naruto the sword, who did the same thing. That son of a bitch. I can't believe he'd go so far as to sell us out. I'm going to kill him. Kushina said. I feel the same, Mom, but Danzo needs to be dealt with carefully. At least we know that there were a lot of Uzumaki who fled before they were wiped out. Right now we need to focus on getting the rest of the stuff in this vault and then activate the seal that will destroy every trace of the Uzumaki clan on the land. Naruto said. You're right. I still want Danzo dead. He goes after my baby and then I find out he's the reason why my people were wiped out. His days are numbered. Kushina said, and Naruto walked over to the scroll that was by itself. Whoa. Naruto said. What? Kushina asked. It's the Uzumaki summoning scroll. It says only those who are able to hold the sword without getting electrocuted will be able to sign the contract. Naruto said. What contract is it? Kushina asked. It's the bird summoning contract. The eagles and falcons created a lifelong contract with the Uzumaki clan, only being available to those who were able to hold the blood-red sword they created for us. The Uzumaki quickly accepted the contract because the eagles represented inspiration, release from bondage, victory, longevity, speed, pride and royalty. The falcon represents vision, freedom, and victory. All of these were traits required to hold the sword. However, since the attack happened, no one was able to ever sign the contract. I guess the eagles and falcons have been somehow updating the scroll after the clan was wiped out. Naruto said. Let's sign it then. Kushina said, and they both signed their names in blood and watched as both their names turned golden. Should we summon them now? Naruto asked. No. Let's seal up the sword and the rest of the scrolls. Everything that wasn't taken to Konoha with Mito and me is all in here. Kushina said. They both sealed the scrolls away and left the temple. They walked around the island and Kushina gave Naruto a bit of a history lesson on their fallen family and even told him stories about her life before she came to Konoha. Naruto listened to every word she said because what she's telling him wasn't learned in the academy. Nightfall came and they were standing up high on a tree. Kushina activated the seal and watched as everything was absorbed into it and watched as the seal burned away into nothing, erasing all traces of the Uzumaki clan from living here. Let's go back. Kushina said. We'll need a ride. Naruto said. Let's summon a creature from the contract. Kushina said, biting her thumb, going through hand signs. Summoning jutsu. A large puff of smoke appeared and a loud screech came from within the smoke. The smoke blew away and a large 50-foot eagle was standing before Naruto and Kushina. I see we have two new summoners. I am Remo, leader of the Eagle clan. It is a pleasure to meet you, Naruto and Kushina Uzumaki. Although, the boy has an odd color of hair. Remo said. He's half Uzumaki and apparently his genes couldn't dominate the other, so apparently it's somehow adapted and he gained powers from both of his clans. Kushina said. He's only a half Uzumaki and he was able to hold the sword and sign the contract. The boy must be something special. Now, I am the boss of the Eagles and only wish to be summoned during battle, however since it is the first time I've been summoned, I'll allow it this time. What do you require of me? Remo asked. We need a lift back to the land of waves. We ran here and we're too tired to run back tonight. I have my other children over there as well and I'd like to get back to them as quickly as possible. Kushina said. More Uzumaki. You should have them sign the scroll. Remo said. They won't be able to sign it or hold the sword. Kushina said. Why not? Remo asked. One of them can't read the Uzumaki Fuinjutsu scrolls and the other can read them, but it's too complicated for her to understand. Neither of them meet the requirements to sign the scroll or hold onto the sword. Kushina said. Yet this one is able to completely read the Uzumaki scrolls, understand the Fuinjutsu and hold the sword and sign the scroll. This is interesting. Now, hop on and I'll give you a lift back to the land of waves. Remo said. Land of waves. After getting dropped off at the land of waves by Remo, Kushina and Naruto walked around wave country a bit and saw how much Gato was affecting them. The entire place looked like the slums in Konoha and it made both of them angry. They made it to Tazuna's house and after destroying their blood clones and receiving the memories of what happened while they were gone, Kushina couldn't help but frown. Menma almost got himself killed running into the fight between two elite ninja, and if it wasn't for Kushina's clone using her chakra chains, Menma would be dead right now. He's in for it tomorrow. Kushina said. Zabuza will bring backup. He's still alive and knows he can't take you and Kakashi on by himself. From his injuries, I'd say he'll be back in about another week or two. Naruto said. How do you know that? Kushina asked. Shizune taught me about the human body, injuries and how to mend broken bones, place a cast or just wrap a bandage the proper way before she left with Tsunade. I know how to do the mystic palm jutsu, but that's all I'd be able to learn due to my chakra being so dense and having such high reserves. She also gave me the talk about men and women, which I might add was kind of disturbing at the time. Naruto said. Why'd she give you the talk at such a young age? Kushina asked. She said the life of a ninja can bring many surprises and she didn't want me to be unprepared for anything, so she gave me the talk. Naruto said. I guess I'll have to give Menma and Narumi the talk. Kushina said. Menma might not listen. He's a bit like Kiba when it comes to women. Narumi will listen since she still has that fascination of meeting her one true love or being rescued on some big mission and falling in love. Naruto said. Why do you know that? Kushina asked. I sat behind her, Sakura and Ino during the academy every day for years. It's all they would talk about. Naruto said. Let's just get some sleep. We'll deal with everything tomorrow. Kushina said. Next day. I think I overdid it with my Sharingan. Kakashi thought. Waking up. Huh, are you alright? Tsunami asked. I've been better. It'll be a week before I can move normally. Kakashi said, sitting up. See, it's better if you don't move, so just lie down. Tsunami said. Right. Kakashi said. Look, Sensei's coming around. Menma said. Listen, Sensei, your Sharingan is amazing and everything, but if it puts that much strain on you, maybe it's not worth it. Sakura said. Sorry. Kakashi said. Huh, well, you did take down one of the most powerful ninja assassins, so we'll be safe for a while. Tazuna said. Right, you know that boy with the mask. What about him? Sakura asked. He's from the elite tracking unit of the village hidden in the mist. Those masks are only worn by the most elite shinobi. Kakashi said. What exactly do they do? Sakura asked. The Anbu Black Ops, also known as the Inferno Squad, destroy all traces of a rogue ninja's corpse. The shinobi body contains many secrets. Ninjutsu, chakra and special medicines used on his body. These are the secrets of his village, and if an enemy were to get a hold of them, their village would be in grave danger. For instance, if I were to die at the hands of an enemy, he would try to analyze my Sharingan. In the worst case, my entire jutsu could be stolen and used against our home village. It is the sacred duty of the shinobi trackers to prevent this. To keep the village secrets safe. If a ninja betrays his village, the trackers hunt him down, eliminate him and obliterate every trace of his existence. That's their specialty. Kakashi said. That's so cool. Maybe I should do that before I become Hokage. I'd be the perfect assassin. Menma thought. I have one more question. If the Sharingan is only exclusive to the Uchiha clan, why does it put so much strain on your body? Sakura asked. Yeah, shouldn't you be used to it by now? Narumi asked. It's because that Sharingan eye isn't his. Naruto said, walking into the room with Kushina. What do you mean? Sakura asked. What I mean is, that Sharingan wasn't originally his to begin with. It's an implant that he obtained during the Third Shinobi War. Naruto said. You stole that eye. Sasuke yelled. No, he didn't steal it. It was gifted to him by a friend. An old teammate who passed away. I won't tell the story because it isn't mine to tell. He feels so much strain from the Sharingan because the amount of chakra the Sharingan requires is too much and his body and reserves can't handle the stress since he's not an Uchiha. That's why he keeps it covered up with his headband all the time to prevent it from draining his chakra. Naruto said. How does a loser like you know so much about the Sharingan? Menma asked. I was trained by Shisui and Itachi. Arguably two of the best Sharingan users in the history of the Uchiha clan. The only other people I can put in that category are Madara Uchiha, Izuna Uchiha, Fugaku Uchiha also known as Wicked Eye Fugaku, Naka Uchiha, Naori Uchiha, Kagami Uchiha and if he would have lived long enough, Obito Uchiha, who is the only known Uchiha to unlock his Sharingan with 2 tomo in each eye. Naruto said. Why would they tell you so much about the Sharingan? Isn't it illegal to share clan secrets? Sakura asked. Everything they've told me was given approval by Fugaku Uchiha who was the clan head at the time. I've spent a lot of time with the Uchiha clan before they were killed and I was pretty much an honorary Uchiha. Of course he had to talk it over with the elders of the clan, but they approved of it. Naruto said. Since I am now clan head, I demand you teach me everything you know. Sasuke said. You're not the clan head. Your brother is still alive and is technically still the clan head since he's the oldest. Unless he dies or comes back to the village and hands over the clan seat to you, you're nothing more than a second-hand Uchiha. Naruto said. Enough with the history lesson. We need to start training. Kushina said. Training for what, mom? Narumi asked. Yeah, we've already completed the mission. Menma said. No, we didn't. The bridge is still not complete and Zabuza is still alive. The hunter Nin didn't kill him yesterday. He used Senbon needles and put Zabuza in a death-like state. He'll be up and running in an hour and will most likely have that fake hunter Nin with him as well as backup. Kushina said. What are we going to be training in? Narumi asked. Maybe a new awesome jutsu like Dad's Rasengan. Menma said. No. We're all working on chakra control and ninja etiquette, since Menma almost got himself killed yesterday rushing into a fight he was ordered to stay out of. Kakashi said. What? Menma, Narumi and Sakura said at the same time. You heard me. Now everyone get to the forest. Kakashi ordered. Forest. All right. Training starts now. First, we will begin with a review of chakra. Kakashi said. Are you kidding me? This is what you're going to start with. We have about a week before Zabuza returns with reinforcements and you want to have an academy lesson. You really do suck as a teacher. I'm going to train on my own. Naruto said and walked away. He's right, Kakashi. A lesson that sat through in the academy for 7 years and probably slept through isn't going to help. Kushina said. Well, can you grab him so we can start tree walking? Kakashi asked. He was walking on water. I don't think he needs to learn tree walking like the rest of them. Kushina said. Why not? Sakura asked. Because water walking is more advanced than tree walking. You don't learn water walking until you master tree walking to the point it becomes second nature to you. Kushina said. Well, have him teach us then. Menma said. Yeah, it's not fair that he can get special treatment for training. Narumi said. Excuse me, who the hell do you think you're talking to? You want to talk about special treatment? You two have been trained by the best ninja in the village ever since you were 5 and still are. Special treatment, my. Next time you decide to talk to me like that you'll regret it. Kushina said. Not like you can do much. Dad's the Hokage. Menma mumbled and Narumi agreed with him. He may be the Hokage, but I'm your Jonin instructor. I can make your days as a genin a living hell. I can make it so that not even the small healing factor you have will help you with your wounds. Now pay attention while I go help Naruto with his training. Kakashi, if they give you any problems, let me know. Kushina said and vanished. Naruto. Naruto was sitting on the ground in a meditative position when Kushina arrived to where he ran off to. She was going to walk up to him, but then she noticed all of the storage seals on the surrounding trees. She felt a small wave of chakra come off of Naruto and then multiple kunai and shuriken started shooting out of the seals he placed around on the trees. She watched as he dodged every single shuriken and kunai that came at him gracefully and started to throw her own kunai and shuriken to throw off his rhythm. Naruto knew she was there, but didn't mind it at all. He noticed her throwing in more kunai and shuriken as well and that forced him to pick up speed and dodge quicker. The second wave of kunai and shuriken came out, but this time there were exploding tags on the ends of the kunai and they would explode on contact if they touched him. Kushina did the same thing and once they got towards the end, he was surrounded in all directions by kunai with exploding tags and they were coming at him fast. He activates his Mangekyo Sharingan and prepares to use the Kamui to escape. The kunai all reached him at the same time and Kushina was worried because all she saw was a smoke screen after the explosion and Naruto didn't move. The smoke cleared and Kushina saw Naruto standing there surrounded by a light blue rib cage and standing there perfectly fine, except he was breathing heavy. The rib cage faded away and Naruto collapsed to the ground panting on one knee. Are you okay? Kushina asked walking up to him. Yeah, I'm okay. Naruto said. What was that? I've never seen a jutsu like that before. Kushina said. It's the Susanoo. It's only in its beginning phase though. The one Shisui used was a lot bigger and looked like a humanoid creature. Naruto said. Why was yours so basic then? Kushina asked. Because it was in its beginning phase. That's the first time I've ever used it and I can tell it drains the chakra a lot. I'll keep practicing with it until it doesn't drain me as much. Naruto said. Well, you can wait on that. You need to complete your dimension jutsu thingy, remember? Kushina asked. I thought you didn't want me to leave. Naruto asked. I don't, but that's me being selfish. You're technically an adult now and I can't stop you from leaving. I tried to keep the family together over the years and you've even given them a shot. I guess I tried too late. I was taught by a lot of Uzumaki and Mito was my mentor when I came to Konoha. The main thing they always taught me was that family sticks together no matter what. We're not a family anymore and I honestly don't think we ever were from the beginning. As the current head of the Uzumaki clan, I am granting you freedom from the clan when you decide to leave. It's the best that I can do. Yes, it will be hard to watch you leave, but I'd rather you be happy somewhere else than miserable and angry while staying here. As your mother, I just want you to be happy in life. Kushina said. You did try and it was never too late. You started to spend time with me a little bit after the Uchiha massacre and I was only 7. It wasn't too late, we were still young, but Menma and Narumi had the Hokage and that perverted grandfather pumping their heads with lies making them feel as if they were invincible. One thing I did notice when we weren't having the best time, you never pampered Menma and Narumi. I figured if anybody was going to try and fix things between us it would be you. As for leaving, I'll make sure to send you letters through our summons. I know you'll find a way to come and get me if I didn't. Naruto said and they both laughed. You're damn right I would. But can you do me one favor? Kushina asked. Sure. Naruto said. Can you just wait until after the Chunin exams to leave? Minato has forbidden you from becoming a Chunin until you're no longer a flight risk and wants to have you monitored in the village. I know the Fire Daimyo will be there so he can overrule Minato and make you a Chunin. I just want you to pass the Chunin exams before you leave. Can you do that for me? Kushina asked. I guess I can. I'll also do something else for you. Last night I couldn't sleep so I went through some of the notes from the Uzumaki clan and I found out that they've somehow made a seal that lets the clan head see all of the current living Uzumaki. I looked at it and saw that even I was in there, but that was my first time being in Uzushiogakure. Naruto said. I know about that. What about it? Kushina asked. It showed that there were 3 more Uzumakis still alive out there. We're close to one of them as she's up north on the Forgotten Island a few miles past Uzushiogakure and recently sent out a distress signal. There's one alive in Kusa and one in Odo. It says that when the clan leader touches the scroll, they will be marked with a tracker seal and it gives off the location to where any lost Uzumaki can find whoever the leader is. It's not much, but it's the least I can do for everything you've done for me over the last few years. Naruto said. That's more than enough. You've given back my family something I've lost over 20 years ago. What were their names? Kushina asked. Hinoka Uzumaki, Karen Uzumaki and Tayuya Uzumaki. Naruto said. I'll have to look out for them. I'll know when they're close due to the seal I'll get. Maybe they'll be in the Chunin exams this year and since they're held in Konoha this time, maybe I'll meet them since every village is invited this year. Kushina said jumping up and down. Maybe Karen and Tayuya will be in the exams. Karen is the same age as me and Tayuya is a year older. Hinoka is a few years younger than you. Naruto said. Are you calling me old? Kushina asked with an eye twitch. No. Even if I was it wouldn't matter. With your Uzumaki genes, even though you're almost 40, your body still functions like you're not even 20 and you still look the same from when we were a teenager. Even Tsunade still looks young except a few grays, but that's because she started heavily drinking after the war. I don't understand why she still uses a genjutsu to hide her appearance. Naruto said. Wait, she looks the same underneath her genjutsu. Even her. Kushina asked. Yeah, I was able to see through her genjutsu with my Sharingan secretly activated one day and she looks exactly the same. Naruto said. Enough about her. How far are you on your jutsu? Kushina asked. I'm not sure. I think I've got it but something weird keeps happening. Naruto said. Weird how? Kushina asked. When I activated the jutsu, the violet kunai I have from Raven started to give off power and it locked onto some type of dimension. The portal still isn't big enough and when I try to expand it so I can walk through it, I lose focus. My chakra control isn't that great and I'm guessing that's the problem. Naruto said. Well, maybe the portal you opened is where Raven is right now. Perhaps it's guiding you to her if her power from the kunai is affecting the portal. As for chakra control, what exercises have you done? Kushina asked. Leaf balancing, kunai balancing, sanban balancing, pebble balancing. I even started to move the leaves and pebbles along my body. I've done tree walking and water walking. That's all I could find in Konoha. Naruto said. That's the problem. Those are like basic chakra control exercises for an Uzumaki. We have our own chakra control exercises. Waterfall walking and whirlpool walking. You have to do each of these for an hour straight before you've officially completed them. Then you have to stand on a boulder and prevent it from rolling downhill with your own chakra. Coincidentally, doing the boulder one will help you gain an affinity for earth for some weird reason. I have a wind, water and earth affinity. Maybe I'll teach you a thing or two from my jutsu collection. Kushina said. I'll be looking forward to that. Naruto said. Lastly, this is what Tsunade does. You have to separate 5 different colors of sand using your own chakra. Now, after completing these you won't have complete control over your chakra, but that's only because Uzumaki reserves are always growing. At most you'll have the reserves of a tailed beast, but only with high Sanin to low cage level control. Kushina said. How much chakra do you have, Mom? Naruto asked. I did have as much chakra as the 7 tails, but after having the 9 tails ripped out of me, my reserves took a big hit and they shrunk down to the size of the 4 tails. I have low cage level control. It's impossible for an Uzumaki to have complete control over their chakra. It's too dense and never really stops growing. Kushina said. Well, right now I'd say I have as much chakra as the 2 tails and my control is at elite Jonin level by Konoha standards. Naruto said. By Uzumaki standards that's about mid-Chunin level control. You're on a good pace right now and you should have these chakra control exercises done by the Chunin exams. Kushina said and Naruto just groaned. Don't worry, you'll be fine. I won't go that hard on you during training. Kushina said unconvincingly. It's not that. Team 8 just got here. Why are they here? Who sent a messenger bird to ask for backup? Naruto asked. Kakashi was out of whack last night and told Sakura to send the bird to Minato. She told me this morning and since Team 8 doesn't have a civilian with them, it took them less time to get here than it took us. Kushina said. Great. Can we just get started on training? Naruto asked. Sure. Let's head over to some water and I'll create the whirlpool for you. Kushina said. They left, and once they found a big enough source of water, Kushina created a whirlpool and demonstrated how Naruto was supposed to do this exercise. He had to stand on the edge of the whirlpool and balance himself while trying not to move with the current. After that, he had to move closer to the center, and then after he was done, he would need to run in the opposite direction of the whirlpool. To say Naruto had a hard time was an understatement. He couldn't even get past the edge of the whirlpool. Kushina was having a blast teasing him and laughing at him every time he fell into the water. They trained for hours until Naruto was finally able to get past the edge of the whirlpool. Kushina even started to spar with him while he was doing the exercise to make it more difficult on him. She told him that if he's leaving for another dimension, she wants to make sure that he's ready for anything thrown his way. A couple more hours went by and Kushina figured that was enough for today. All right, Naruto. That's enough for today, Kushina said and stopped the whirlpool. That was harder than I expected. Naruto said, breathing heavy. Of course it is. It took me 2 months to actually do it. At the rate you're going right now, it shouldn't take you no more than a month to complete it. Now let's get back, Kushina said, and they left. To Zuna's house. I really don't get why they're here. We don't need backup, Naruto said as they walked up to the house. True. But just be nice and please don't kill Kiba. I know all about your problems with him. Kushina said. My problems? I don't even talk to him. Actually, I don't talk to any of the people I graduated with. Naruto said. Not even Shikamaru? Kushina asked. No. I'd rather not speak to someone who doesn't understand when someone doesn't want to be figured out. That's all he did during the academy, is take glances at me and try to figure out who I am and how strong I am. It's annoying, and Ino does the same thing. Her always wanting something to gossip about will get her killed one day if she doesn't relax. Naruto said. What about Choji? He seems nice. Kushina said. Choji can't think for himself and always has his head up Shikamaru's. Naruto said. Well, were you friends with anybody in the academy? Kushina asked. I was friends with Sakura for about a week, but her fangirl ways were too much for me to handle, so I stopped talking to her. I'm friends with 1010, who's a year older than us. Other than that, I don't have any friends. Naruto said as they entered the house and everyone looked at them. Kushina. Naruto. It's nice to see you. Kurenai said. Nice to see you as well, Kurenai. Kushina said. I guess the mission was too much for you to handle since you needed backup. Kiba said, trying to tease Naruto. Shino. If that bug touches me, you're not leaving this mission alive. Naruto said, and Shino nodded as his bug came back to him. Naruto. Do you really have to be mean? Kurenai asked, and Naruto just shrugged. Anyway, I've already given Kurenai the update on the mission and what's been happening lately. Kakashi said. So what's the plan? Kushina asked. Well, all of the Jonin will go to the bridge to help protect the bridge builder at the end of the week, and the Genin will stay here. Throughout the week, 2 Genin will accompany him to the bridge and will signal off a flare if anything goes wrong. Kakashi said, and Kushina just looked at him. That's a stupid idea. Naruto said. You have something better? Kurenai asked. Yes, I do. At the end of the week, everyone but 2 Genin should go to the bridge. 2 should stay at the house just in case Gato tries to pull a fast one and send somebody to grab the little boy that mopes around all day and his mother. Zabuza will have backup, including the fake hunter Nin. Sasuke, Menma, Narumi and Kiba should be enough to take her on. Shino and Hinata should stay at the house. I'll help fight whoever Zabuza brings as backup. Naruto said. I have a feeling I know who his backup will be. Naruto thought. I like his plan better. Kushina said. Why does he get to fight the backup? Menma asked. Because he's stronger than all of you combined. Kurenai said. He's not that strong. Kiba said, puffing out his chest. Didn't he already beat you in the academy? Shino asked. Shut up. Kiba said. We'll go with Naruto's plan. It's actually better than mine. Maybe you should lead this team instead. Kakashi said. No. Naruto said. As an Uchiha, I should be the one fighting the extra backup. Sasuke said. Yeah, Sasuke deserves to fight the strongest there is. Sakura said. Then how about I fight Sasuke then? I am the strongest shinobi in this house, with Kakashi or Naruto being a close second. Kushina said. You can't be serious. Narumi said. That loser isn't stronger than me. Menma said. He's already proven to be better than you when he easily took you out after you attacked him using the Nine Tails chakra. Kushina said. That was a fluke. I'll be the best ninja in history. I'm going to become Hokage and be known as a hero. Menma said, and Naruto just walked towards the door. Where are you going, Naruto? Kushina asked. To bond with nature. You're all giving me a headache. Naruto said and left. I'm giving him a headache. Kushina said with her hair going wild. Forest. Naruto found a clearing in the forest to train and created 30 shadow clones. He split them all up in groups to work on getting hand signs for all of his jutsus down to the minimum amount. He himself started going through his taijutsu katas for each of his styles. He trained for about 2 hours before he stopped because he felt a chakra signature slowly coming towards him. He released his clones and jumped into the trees, activating a seal he created that makes it impossible for the Byakugan to find him. He looked down and sure enough, Hinata was looking around for him with her Byakugan activated. He was just here. He can't hide from the Byakugan, it's impossible to hide from it. Hinata said. She looked around for about 30 minutes before giving up and returning back to the house. Naruto sighed and started sorting through the memories from his clones and noticed the lighting jutsus either needed no hand signs now or at least 2. His fire jutsus all needed 1 or 2 hand signs. His water jutsus were down to 1 hand sign and his wind jutsus required no hand signs except for 1. He smirked at this and was proud that he'd have an advantage that most people didn't have. He channeled fire chakra into his hand and created a small flame in his hand. He thrust his hand forward and the fire came off his hand in the form of a comet. He thought for a minute before coming up with a name for it. Fire style. Fire comet seems to have a nice sound to it. I'll change the name if I think of a better one. Naruto said. He continued to train more and more throughout the night until he physically couldn't. Once he was done, he kept training, but instead of physical training, he decided to do some mental training. He started to meditate, focusing on the sounds of the animals in the forest and the way the air felt. He was meditating so much that he didn't notice the animals starting to surround him. He was completely relaxed and he could feel his chakra running smoothly throughout his body and it was easier to control. Pretty soon he was surrounded by every animal in the forest and they were all seemingly relaxing all around him, laying down. This went on until the early morning hours and the animals and Naruto sensed someone coming into the area. The animals all left and once the person came into view, Naruto was leaning against the tree like he was asleep. The person walked over to Naruto and reached out for him. I wouldn't do that unless you're prepared to die. Naruto said and opened his eyes and saw a girl looking at him. He took a look at this girl and took in her appearance. She had long black hair, pale skin and large, dark brown eyes, and a slender frame. She wore her long hair loosely, and wore a pink, sleeveless kimono, with pale red edges and decorated with small plum-colored swirls, that went to her ankles. Around her waist was a simple white obi tied in a bow, and she wore a pair of light brown sandals with dark straps. She also wore a dark-colored choker around her neck. You'll catch a cold if you sleep out here. She said. I wasn't sleeping. Who are you and what are you doing here? Naruto asked. I'm gathering herbs for treating illnesses in human wounds. She said. You're out this early? Naruto asked. I like it early. It's calm. I didn't think I'd find anyone out here in the woods. If you weren't sleeping, then what were you doing? She asked. I was training. Naruto said. So are you a ninja? She asked. Yeah, I am. Naruto said. Oh, really? I see. That's very impressive. Does that mean you're training for something dangerous? She asked. I could be, but I'm just training to get stronger and better at the moment. Naruto said. You seem pretty strong now. Isn't that enough? She asked. You can never have too much strength. There will always be someone stronger than you out there. Naruto said. Why do you wish to become strong? She asked. Because I have something to do. Naruto said. Are you training for a certain person or are you doing all this training for yourself? She asked. You can say that. Naruto said. Is there someone who's precious to you? She asked. A few. Why? Naruto asked. When a person has something precious that they want to protect, then they become genuinely strong. You will get strong. Very strong. You have something to protect that is precious to you. That is true strength, and protecting your precious people is when you're at your strongest. She said as she grabbed her basket. I agree to a certain point. Having something precious to protect can give you strength. However, when that something to protect goes away, does it take your strength away and make you weak? Or does it push you to become stronger? Having something precious to protect shouldn't be the only reason you become strong. True strength is not measured when you're at your strongest, but when you're at your weakest. Take away those precious people you speak of, and then you'll see how strong you really are. Remember that. Naruto said. Goodbye. We'll meet again sometime. My name is Haku. Oh, by the way, I'm a boy. Haku said. Nice try. That may work on everyone else but not me. Boys don't wear chest bindings and smell like strawberries. It was nice meeting you, Haku. Tell Zabuza I'm looking forward to seeing him on the bridge with his backup. Naruto said and vanished. The blush on Haku's face when he mentioned her chest bindings went away when he mentioned Zabuza. Haku turned around to attack him, but he was nowhere in sight. She sighed and put her Senbon back in her basket and ran full speed toward their hideout. He knew all along. Why didn't he attack me? She thought. Chizuna's house. Where is Naruto, Menma and Sasuke? Kurenai asked. Naruto's been training since yesterday and hasn't been back. Menma and Sasuke went out to train on tree walking. Kakashi said. It's time for dinner. I wouldn't have expected Sasuke to be late. Menma on the other hand, I could see him being late. Sakura said. Maybe we should go look for them. Hinata said. That's a good idea. Kurenai said, and then the door opened revealing a cut-up Menma and Sasuke. We made it to the top. Menma said. Good. Now we move on. Starting tomorrow, you're both bodyguards for Chizuna. Kakashi said. Woohoo. Alright. Menma said. How come he's already done with the tree walking training before me? Narumi asked. Because he was actually training instead of complaining the entire time like you have been doing. Kakashi said. Why'd you all wait so long to teach them tree walking? Kurenai asked. I'm not really in charge, Kakashi is. He's been handling their training and I just give my input. He's had them working on teamwork exercises and silly D-rank missions. I tried to train them once, and besides Sasuke, they all complained that it was too difficult for them. Kushina said. What about Naruto? Doesn't he train with you? Kurenai asked. Kurenai. Naruto's way above Genin level and I've allowed him to do his own training. All I know is that he comes back to check in from time to time and checks if we have a mission. Kakashi said. More like giving him special treatment. Narumi said. If you were at his level I'd allow you to train by yourself as well. Kakashi said. We are. Menma said. You are, but that's only if you're using over 3 tails of the 9 tails chakra, and he's proven that he could still easily handle you. Kushina said. Well, can we go and look for him? I'm hungry. Hiba said. I'm already here. Naruto said, coming downstairs. When did you get here? Kakashi asked. An hour ago. Naruto said and sat down at the only open spot, which was next to Hinata. He's sitting right next to me. Hinata thought and blushed red before fainting. Weirdo. Naruto mumbled and everyone started eating. In a few more days, the bridge will be finished. I have you to thank for that. Chizuna said. You've all done great, but you've still got to be careful. Tsunami said. I've been meaning to ask you this, but I haven't had the chance to until now. Why did you stay and protect me, even after I lied to bring you here? Chizuna asked. Those who stray from the path of justice have no courage, but under the wing of a strong leader, cowardice cannot survive. Kakashi said. Huh? Tsunami asked. That was a quote from the first Hokage. Kakashi said and Inari started crying. But why? Inari asked. What did you say? Menma asked and Inari slammed his hands on the table. All this stupid training is a waste of time. Gato's got a whole army. They'll beat you down and they'll destroy you. These cool things you all say, they don't mean anything. No matter what you do, the strong always win and the weak always lose. You sicken me the most. You walk around as if you're untouchable. You think you're so cool, you'll be the first person to die and I'll be the first person to say I told you so. Inari said, pointing at Naruto. Is that so? Naruto asked calmly. Yes, it is. Your worthless attempts at saving this country are pitiful. Inari said. Then I guess Kaiza was pitiful then. Naruto said. Naruto. That's enough. Kushina said. No. We all sat here and listened to his pathetic sob story, so now you'll all sit here and listen to what I have to say. Naruto said calmly and then looked at Inari with a cold look in his eyes. You say I'll be the first to die. Then so be it. I'd rather go out fighting than lay down with my tail tucked between my legs like the bitch you're acting like. Kaiser was somebody you looked up to, yet you sit here and spit on his name and everything he fought for. You've never done anything to help this village. All you do is sit on your and bitch and moan about how life isn't fair. You lost one person who was like a father, while there are kids out on the streets who have lost all of their family. You're a coward, and you'll be a coward until the day you die. Naruto said and threw a kunai at Inari, and it landed next to his head on the wall. If you don't want to fight for your country or do anything to help it, how about I kill you myself, and then you can go and tell Kaiser how much of a coward you've become. You're a disgrace to this country and a disgrace to your mother. People like you who refuse to even lift a finger to help make me sick. I've been here for a few days and I've already done more than you have. I've already helped fix up houses with my clones that are now turned into orphanages. I've already taken out some of Gato's men earlier and managed to grab some food for almost everyone in the village. I've given out blankets and clothes that I have sealed away, and I've given them hope. You, on the other hand, tell me what you've done for this village. Naruto said. That's enough. Kurenai said. No, it isn't. Apparently he's been allowed to act out whenever he wants. He's picked the wrong person to call out. Gato's gonna die and I'll be the one who kills him. Once he's dead, I'll be sure to wipe his blood on you. That'll give you something to bitch and complain about. This is the last time I want to hear your voice while I'm here. You whine or complain again and you won't live to see Gato's dead body. Naruto said in a cold tone. You're just gonna. Inari didn't finish his sentence because he fell to the ground and started to foam out the mouth. Inari. Tsunami yelled and rushed to his side. What's wrong with him? Tazuna asked. It's a genjutsu. Kurenai said and dispelled the genjutsu but used up a lot of chakra. Naruto. You don't attack the client. Kakashi said. I didn't. I attacked an annoying little brat. He was pissing me off and I already warned him. Naruto said. That was a B rank genjutsu. His body couldn't handle it. I was barely able to save him. Kurenai said. That wasn't a B rank genjutsu. It was a low ranking C rank genjutsu. I'm leaving and I'll see you all at the bridge. Naruto said. Menma and Narumi were pissed off at Naruto's actions and both channeled 2 tails of 9 tails chakra and launched themselves at Naruto. He ducked out of the way, and when they rushed again, he kicked them both out of the house and calmly walked out after them. Everyone else ran outside, especially Kushina, because she knew Naruto was about to really hurt them. Naruto, stop. Let me handle this. Kushina said. No. I'm tired of these 2 rotten little kids thinking they can just attack me with the 9 tails chakra. It's time they learned their lesson. Naruto said. Menma and Narumi came running at him again and he blocked both of their punches and slammed them into the ground. He grabbed Menma by his neck and choked him until his body went limp and he passed out. He threw him over to where everyone was and the other genin were now terrified. Narumi grew another tail and was now faster than before, but Naruto was still able to track her. They started trading punches and kicks, and if you were a jonin or above you could see that Naruto wasn't taking her seriously. He kicked Narumi into the air and then surprised everyone but Kushina by using a chakra chain that came out of his hand and made it wrap around Narumi. Get over here. Naruto said. He pulled the chain back to his body and Narumi came flying at him and was immediately caught with an uppercut. He grabbed her by the hair and then slammed her face first to the ground and slapped a seal on her, suppressing the 9 tails chakra. He kicked her over to everyone and they just looked at him with terrified looks on their faces. Kushina walked up to him and looked him right in his eyes. Come with me, she said, and they walked away. Okay. For the remainder of this mission, nobody piss him off. I'd rather not have to fill out paperwork for more accidents. Kakashi said. He's a monster. Sakura said. No, he's just somebody who's had enough of being picked on. You all have had a hand in him being abused, whether it be mentally or physically. He's reached his breaking point and isn't going to take it anymore. That was just pent-up aggression he's been brewing up over the years. I know Naruto and he's a good kid. Everything he said he did for this country is true because he did the same thing in the slums in Konoha. Let's get these two inside. I doubt they'll wake up anytime soon. Kurenai said. What about Naruto and Kushina-sensei? Sakura asked. Kushina will handle him. Let's go back inside. Kakashi said. Kushina and Naruto. You know you're getting written up, right? Kushina asked. I know. I really don't care. This has been coming for a long time and you know that. Naruto said. I'm not talking about Menma and Narumi. I'm talking about attacking Inari. He's considered a civilian and we're not allowed to harm civilians on missions. Kushina said. It's my first offense. The Chunin exams are coming up soon and even Minato wants all of his children in the Chunin exams. I'll get a 30 to 60 day suspension, maybe 90 days. He can't afford to have one of his kids removed from the ninja program because it would hurt his precious image. It would hurt him even more if news got out that a genin was able to wipe the floor with 2 Jinchuriki that he's been personally training. Naruto said. Still, you can't go around attacking civilians on a mission that isn't a danger to our mission. Gato's thugs take them out all you want, anybody else is off limits. Now Tazuna and Tsunami most likely won't want you back in their home so you'll have to camp for the next few days. I'll try to sneak you some food if I can. Just try to relax. Can you do that for me? Kushina asked. I guess I can. Naruto said. Good. Now, how did you get so strong in such a short amount of time? Kushina asked. I don't know. Only training I did was shortening hand signs for my jutsus, a bit of taijutsu training and some meditation. I did notice my chakra became easier to use after I was meditating. It's still not perfect, but it seems easier and more relaxed now. Naruto said. How are you able to touch the Nine Tails chakra and not get hurt? I know you have an insane healing ability, but you should be burnt by the Nine Tails chakra. Kushina said. I held the Nine Tails for a few years and what little chakra it had was flowing through my body. I'm immune to the effects of its chakra when I touch it since my body is used to it. Naruto said. I guess that makes sense. Tomorrow we're doing the whirlpool exercise again. It's just to test out your new level of chakra control to see how far it's come. Kushina said and gave him a kiss on the head. Be careful out here. I have to get back to the house and get on Menma and Narumi now. Kushina said and left. Naruto just sighed and looked up at the moon. If it wasn't for that promise to his mom to compete in the Chunin exams, he would leave as soon as his dimension jutsu was finished. He unsealed his camping equipment and after setting it up and eating a bento box, he went to sleep thinking about the upcoming fight on the bridge.